I will start by saying that this is the beginning of the recording for the, there we go, for the Basic Fantasy RPG 20th Anniversary Live Chat Party. We're going to talk about how we got here and who we are and so forth, and I'm going to actually hear from some people and see some people that I have probably never communicated with before other than through text communication on the forum or on the Discord or on Facebook. So I'm gonna get an opportunity here to actually find out who you people are. I've been working with some of you people for over a decade, and I don't know you very well, so we're going to see what happens. Those of you who are here to listen, great. I feel like you should know that you can open a chat list over on should be on the right side of your Discord screen. If you float over the channel name up there at the top, you should see a little word balloon that lets you bring up the chat, and then you can make comments there in chat mode. Feel free to post questions or comments there. That's fine. And so, 20 years ago this very night, I made a post on the forums of Dragonsfoot where I announced a project that I was working on. The project I was working on is a basic fantasy role-playing game. I put out a call to action to see who might be available to join in and help with the development of my game. I had a lot of positive responses. I had a few negative responses. Some people seemed to think I was going to get my pants sewed clear off. That never happened, thank goodness. But overall, the support was really pretty strong. And I think the one thing is, though, when I started that, there was no OSR. The OSR did not exist. There was no such thing as the old school Renaissance. We were among the first to do anything like that. And so as a consequence, we had a lot of people who joined us early on who then wandered off to other projects. And that's not surprising. The best part about this project is, though, even after those people wandered off, their contributions are still here. A lot of bits of the core rules were written by some of those early contributors that I haven't heard anything from or seen for a long time. But one person who has been with the project since the Dragonsfoot days is Robert Smoot. Are you there, Robert? And here he comes.
Here I am.
Yep. So I'm going to ask you the first big question. How did you decide this was something you wanted to do?
Gosh, I wandered in and out of lots of different games. I was doing 3rd edition and just really burned out on the level of nonsense that went along with the game. And I was looking for something simpler, and honestly, I was just wandering around Dragonsfoot doing a little bit of this and that, and then I saw the project and it just made sense. It clicked,
Hey, hang on a moment. Dave?
Yeah.
Dave Jordan, would you do me a favor? We're going to call people in here one at a time and kind of do a rotating deal. Would you drop out of your video right now, please?
Oh, sure. Sorry, I was just making sure it worked.
Yeah, that's great. And I'll call you. I'll call on you. You will get your shot too. Everybody gets a shot. So anyway, I was just curious about that. Somewhere along the line, you went from a participant to, well, basically you're the senior moderator on the site now. I mean, you've been moderating the forum longer than anybody else.
I try to read just about everything.
Dave. Now, wait, what? Dave, would you do me a favor and mute yourself, Dave?
Hang on.
I think I was hearing some feedback. I'm sorry. Go back and start that over. I apologize.
Oh, well, I just, when I got in and, I realized right away this was the rule set that I loved when I was young, when I was a kid. And I just knew it fit for me. And then I just started, I was just one of those people. I just always wanted more stuff. The rules were fine, but I always wanted more. I wanted more spells. I wanted more races. I wanted more monsters. I wanted.
That's why your name is on so many of our supplements.
I tried.
You know, I have to admit to you, I haven't read Quasi Classes in quite a while. I should go back and reread it because I know you had a different approach to things.
I did. I tried to think outside the box, even when I was, um, I know I've said it, I've shared it on the forums a lot to different people, how um, I didn't always just want to port over stuff. I wanted to, if there was a missing class, a missing race, I wanted to redesign it from the ground level and make it specific to basic fantasy, so that basic fantasy had its own vibe, had its own, kind of oomph that people could count on it being different, similar but different.
Hang on a minute. Somebody commented on the loud cat. She's standing at my feet crying, so we'll give her a little attention.
Quasi classes in particular, that was a real departure from the normal. Even when it came out the first time. But I liked the idea. It was just something where one kind of idea could be applied to any class. And that was where you got some unique stuff. You could have a holy thief. You could have a hunter, druid, so it was very it was a little bit groundbreaking because I don't think I've seen that anywhere else.
I'm pretty sure I haven't seen anything done quite that way either.
No, I think the closest thing was what they called templates in like third edition. But
other than quasi classes, what's your favorite thing you've done?
Oh gosh, when I took on the field guides,
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning, remember it was just a monster supplement. You had thulids and a couple other things in there that were interesting, and I just wanted more, so I started, grabbing different creatures from here and there, trying to redesign things when I was, like I said, I always wanted basic fantasy to have its own deal. That's why things like Barklings that came out, recently, it's like, yes, I love it because it's its own thing. It's basic fantasies thing.
Barklings were an accident of sorts. I'm hoping Gabe said he might be able to join us late in the event today, so we'll hopefully get a chance to talk to him because that's largely his fault. But yeah,
Just was evocative. It was great.
it was. Yeah, it was. It is, of course, all of his art is fantastic, but obviously other people like Barklings too from the comments. But they're just kind of trying to get a feel for where you are. So then the next question is, what are we supposed to be working on now that we're not working on? What do you feel like we should be doing that we're not doing?
Oh gosh, I'm still a more person. The field guide omnibus. I was like putting it all together into a single book is just. I mean, that's going to be huge.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing about that is that it is huge. It's going to be a massive editing effort to get through that. But nobody wants to see that in print any more than I do. But we just have to take the time at it and get it done. But we are working on that, or at least Boggo is at this point.
Doing wonderful.
He indicated he probably wouldn't be able to join us, and I feel I hate that. I'd love to get him on here too and talk to him about it, but he's indicated he was probably not going to be available today. I don't even know what time it is there. So then my next person that I had intended to talk to was James, but James is not going to be available just yet. I don't see him in my list over here. So, yeah. So I went through the core rules, went through the credits at the front of the book, and was looking at it, and I was surprised to note that Hadrian actually is listed before Alvetter. Hadrian Riel Salvatore is listed before Alvetter as an editor by two names. So let's get Hadrian in here.
Hey everyone.
Hey, I'll ask you the same question I asked him. What possessed you to join us?
That's a very good question. Um, the very first game I've ever played was with my older brother, and I still have the character sheet to this day. And it was the red box, the Mulvey. I must have been, I don't know, maybe like 8 years old or something. So I didn't really understand much of the game. But I still remember to this day sitting around the table. I was with my sister, who's pretty young as well. She checked out, like she really didn't want to play. But I remember staying with my brother, my much older brother. He was the dungeon master, obviously. And I remember having a very good time. And I don't know, I'm much younger than you guys. Sorry about that. So I started playing seriously with 3rd edition, 3.0, back in high school. And this is what people played back then. I mean, even 2nd edition, people didn't want to play anymore. I remember I was playing with my neighbors, and everybody was all about 3rd edition. And I really wanted to, I mean, we played that, and I played Pathfinder, and obviously I played other games as well, but I always wanted to recreate that feeling that I had of weak characters. I don't know, not like a superhero in armor, if you know what I mean.
Right.
And one day I remember I knew about Osric. I knew about the OSR back in 2015, maybe. I knew about Osric. I read through it, the free PDF. I really liked it, but I thought it was a bit bloated, if I can say. It was a lot of rules, lots of rules, and I was looking for something a bit more simple, especially since I had been playing Pathfinder for so long. And I found Basic Fantasy on Amazon. I went to the website, I looked at it. It was great. I really liked what I saw. I liked the simplicity of the game, and I liked the fact that it was affordable. So I ordered the core rules, the field guide, and a bunch of modules. I don't know, I must have paid $30 for it, and the rest is history.
Well, I'm glad. I'm not sure. I said what got you into the game, but how did you end up being one of our regular editors?
Oh, that was a question. Sorry.
And actually, I kind of know the answer to that question. I thought I knew the answer to that question until I noticed that your name was before Al's in the core rules. So you contributed some kind of edits or corrections to the core rules long before the thing that I always think that was your claim to fame. Do you remember doing that?
Not really. I don't think I ever contributed anything before the OGL debacle. So
you must have called out some error of some kind, because I give credit to people who call out a single error. I'm pretty generous with the credit, but so you must.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I think the first thing I ever contributed to the game is to the project is a picture I drew of the Vapor Mage for a Bentor Bar. I don't know exactly how you pronounce that.
that was Adventure Tour.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's the first thing I've ever contributed in 2022. So
okay, well, I remember that art. Yeah. Of course, the claim to fame for you is the OGL debacle. It's the SRD removal process. I put out a call to action for people who might be willing to help me identify SRD text in the core rules, and you just took over. You came in and you organized the project, and you got other people helping, and you ramrodded it. You basically made an editor out of yourself, and I was away from the computer for a day, and when I came back, here you were with this whole project that you were running, and I'm like, okay, all right, this is great. I was just looking for a little help, and I've got a guy doing the whole job for me. You were instrumental. You shaved months off the release time, at least 1 month, probably more than 1 month off the release time for the 4th edition, just by getting that job done so quickly, so efficiently, so well organized. And I want
Well, to my, I mean, I did organize everything, and well, everything. I did organize stuff, but everybody contributed. It's not like I read the whole thing by myself. It was a
no,
pretty,
but
pretty lengthy. Yeah.
But you set up a structure. You set up the idea of having the master post where you keep track of who's doing what and what parts were done. You organized it. I mean, that's the right way to do it. I can sit here now after the fact and think that's exactly how it should be done. I'm not that organized. You got there before I even thought about it, and thanks to you, I didn't have to. I could get down to the task of actually rewriting the stuff you identified without too much concern about anything being missed or not taken care of properly. And I'm thanking you for that. I want to tell you guys, I should have said this at the intro. This is not for content. Yeah, I'm going to share the recording on YouTube, but this is not for content, and this is not for promotion. I'm not even wearing one of my Basic Fantasy t-shirts. This is for us. You guys and all the people I'm going to call on as we go along here, you guys made this project possible. This would not be what it is if it was just me doing it. It wouldn't be. There's just no way. I couldn't do all this stuff. You guys have done amazing things, and I'm thanking you guys for it. And this is the whole point of having this, is for me to, I mean, Hadrian, you're in my game on a regular basis. I know you fairly well. I can't remember, Robert, if I ever actually talked to you before.
No, first time was yesterday or day before.
I was thinking that was the case. Yeah. So, and you've been hanging with me since the Dragonsfoot days.
Yeah, we've interacted, through on Facebook and of course on the forums and stuff, but never a live communication.
Exactly, and that's kind of what I'm wanting to get out of this. Okay, so let's call in Al Vetter here, the next guy on the list. There he comes.
Hello.
With his iconic hat.
Yes. The hat's part of the image.
You told me. Yep, there we go. You told me, back in 24 when you came to the Adventure Binge. Besides being one of the senior editors of the project, Al is also one of the volunteer GMs for my Basic Fantasy Adventure Binge events in Quincy, Illinois. So he's doing a lot of extra duty here. But you told me that you lurked for quite a while before you actually jumped in and did anything.
Oh, for about a year. About 2014, my son came home from school and said that he was going to join the D&D group at school. And so I started trying to find a role-playing game that was affordable, that I could kind of show him the ropes on. And I came across Osric first, but then I was reading about the old school Renaissance, and I came across Basic Fantasy, and I looked at the books. I liked them. I liked the price.
Are we all old and cheap? Is that, well, Hadrian's not old, but are we all cheap? Is that what the deal is here?
That's a good part of it.
Yeah.
I just couldn't afford. I couldn't see paying $40 for a manual, and $40 a piece for all three manuals. Mm-hmm. So I liked that everything was in one book. Everything was well explained and ran well. And I ran my son and daughter through a couple of scenarios, and they enjoyed the game. Later on, the teacher that was in charge of that group told me that my daughter was one of his best players because she was the most level-headed. And
that's always nice.
She didn't go into it as a murder hobo. She was there to play role-playing game, and she role-played very well. And she's trying to get some friends of hers together to do some basic fantasy also. I gave her the books a couple of years ago, so.
Besides
And
editing, you've written an adventure, just one, or do you have more than one? You were telling me about a series you were working on, but you're still working on it?
I'm still working on it. I wrote one adventure for Adventure Anthology 3, and I'm in the process of writing basically a book. I'm over 100 pages right now.
Yeah.
Of it's about 10 adventures all clued into each other, and this group has to go through and capture the breath of each type of dragon. And when we did the rewrite, I'm all of a sudden having to face, oh wait, now we have prairie dragons.
I'm sorry, we threw another dragon at you. And
So,
and Hadrian did Barks and Blades, of course.
yep.
Robert, do you have any adventures? I can't remember.
Actually, no. I've not written any of the adventures.
Oh, okay.
I'm a consumer of the adventures, but not a writer at that level.
Well, I've said it many times that Basic Fantasy RPG is just a scam to get other people to write me adventures. So
I consume a lot.
It works. I have a lot of adventures to choose from now. All right. Well, I'm going to say I asked Robert this earlier. Al, what do you think we should be doing that we're not doing? Is there some direction we should be going, or something we should be creating and we're not doing, or are we doing just fine?
I think we're doing just fine. We've got a group that's creating adventures. We've got a lot of adventures in the pipe, and with the Anthology 4, and we've had adventures written since then. Getting that out, we need to get the 2023 dungeon.
Dungeon 23. I'll be honest with you, Al. I will be surprised if we ever get that one into print. The editing on that is going to be a monumental job.
It's a nightmare.
I mean, we could half-ass it. Excuse my French, and just put it out as is. But I really feel like somebody needs to go through and read the whole thing and reconcile, because a lot of different people contributed to it, and no one provided an overall vision, because that's just not what that project was about. But it is a huge adventure. I mean,
yes.
if you wanted to run a giant dungeon and you were prepared to deal with the creaky bits in it, it is huge, and every daggone room is interesting.
And I've got
Hadrian says 300 pages.
Yeah.
Yep.
About that. And I've gone through January and February. I got stymied somewhere in February dungeon. So I've got to come back to that and put fresh eyes on it. But also there's another one of those 2023 dungeons out there. The omnibus, that's going to be a nightmare and a half to edit. I'm sorry to say, but it's a lot of it's been done already with the field guides.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. That's a big task.
But just getting through those is going to be huge. And I know between Bogo and James and I and Hadrian, we've got our work cut out for us.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and I mean, I'm not leaving you guys on your own. I will help with it too, but it's a big job. I would love to just go through it and just literally sit down myself and rewrite every entry, but what else would I get done? It's amazing. I'm going to stop for just a moment here. Leon Atkinson, I see you out there in the listeners. You are qualified as a participant, and I have boosted you, but you're going to have to drop out of the chat and come back in before I can call on you. So if you want to go ahead and drop out, and yep, there you go. Okay. That was quick. And Leon, I will call on you later, but I just wanted you to know that that I've got you on the list for participants now. And okay, that's where I wanted to go next. If that is in fact James Lemon, go ahead. Do you have a functional camera?
I do not on this system. Sorry.
Okay, well, we'll stick with the 4 we've got on the screen. But you were actually the second person I planned on calling, but I know you had other things going on, so we will call you in at this point.
All right.
I've been asking everybody how they got involved in the whole project. So tell me how you ended up being my editor-in-chief.
Way back in the day, probably not the very first OSR wave, but not too many years later, came back from playing like 2nd edition way back in the day, seeing what was out there. Only a passing familiarity with 3.5, and Pathfinder, but kind of looking for alternatives already. Of course, back then it was pretty much all like Labyrinth Lord, Swords and Wizardry, stuff like that, but kept hearing about this one project, had taken some stuff from 3.5, with the big selling points being free, having a good community already even back then. Had already kind of known a little bit about like the Dragonsfoot forums and things like that. But just one of those, just started to get into it, reading things, playing a little bit. And then probably years later, just started throwing in suggestions to existing works in workshop, slowly working on my own material, and even once in a long while volunteering to edit and work on projects outside of basic fantasy and learn a little bit more about editing. And I think it was through New Big Dragon Games that I was the first handed a existing style guide. And that's probably what got me the big pushy point of, oh, we're already sort of consistent, but let's go ahead and kind of put it on paper and still be flexible, but have a starting reference point. And that kind of followed. I think that was after my first big project was helping finish, put together, and edit the first field guide.
Well, the first project, because I just looked you up, the first project that you worked on was the 3rd edition of Basic Fantasy.
Oh, okay.
I went back and looked on the forum, and it's the first one I could find. Were you with us in the Dragonsfoot era?
Not back then. I probably had an account, but mostly pretty much just lurked back then.
Okay, well, that's what I was thinking. I thought you had primarily been on our forum. And you joined us in 2011, actually in August,
okay.
according to the forum. And I said, and one more thing, I need a volunteer. Someone needs to go through the Dragonsfoot threads and summarize the errata from there in this thread. BFRPG 2nd edition R75 was released as a print on August 1st, 2008. So the posts after that time are the ones of interest, and you jumped in. Volunteered to do that, and that was on the 6th of February 2013, and around the 8th I said, wow, that was fast. So yeah, that is actually the first thing that you apparently worked on for us. But your organizing of the project, I mean, I lean on you a lot because you organize the project, you organize me. God knows I need organizing. Look at
that's a habit from work. Somehow
my wife is not.
Stuff.
But yeah, you organized me, you organized the project, you created the style guide, and I know you and I have disagreed on things a few times. I'm glad we've worked those out, but yeah, the style guide and so forth, managing that has really helped make everything consistent, make it all work together. This is also a historic first because I now have all of my regular editors on a call together. It's never happened before. If there's anything you want to say to Al or Hadrian, jump in. If you want to chastise them for their terrible work skills or whatever.
Oh no, I couldn't pretend that mine's any better. I've only been around maybe a little bit longer than some of them, but the field guide, that did not start from scratch. If our Kevin Smoot hadn't started that, I don't know if it would have existed for years or longer.
And this is Robert. You can talk to him about that.
Yeah. It was just picking up what was already there and just helping finish. Because I can know from experience, after years of working on something, sometimes those field guides and the adventure anthologies, it's really easy to start something, but to keep working on it, to keep other people interested in contributing stuff, it takes more than one person for sure.
And you really did jump in there and straighten out so much of my crappy writing. So,
well, and you were very open and honest about what could be changed, things that you might have wanted to keep. It wasn't like, oh, I had to fight to take over to get it finished or anything like that.
No,
I definitely am not that kind of person. Yeah, I am not a type A, take the lead and stomp on everybody else. So it was only because of cooperation, again, with the community at large on those forums.
Well, and I'm going to say too, one of the hardest things, and I think you guys will all agree with me, one of the hardest things about doing this kind of thing is pushing your ego out of the way.
Oh, yes.
And when somebody challenges what you've written or whatever, it can be difficult to say, to yourself, maybe they're right. Or then, of course, there's people who I suppose think everything that they've done is wrong, and they're probably have trouble when I tell them they did a good job. I don't know, but the whole Al, you always do fantastic work.
No.
You do. I mean, you always do fantastic work.
I think Al has written more material at this point than all of us put together.
He's rewritten more material, that's for sure. His son came with him to the Binge this year and commented on his father working late into the night editing our documents. So apparently we make a lot of work for him. But
there's a lot out there. And
but
James, I've been wanting to say thank you for helping with this. You've been a big part of this, and we couldn't do it. Basically, we wouldn't be here without you. So
we wouldn't be as far along as we are. We would not be as far along as we are without all of you guys. But I'll agree with you. James is a pivotal role, because God knows if he wasn't organizing, which one of us was going to do it. I mean,
I'm totally disorganized, so yeah.
Never underestimate the value of somebody who knows how to organize a bunch of, cats. That's us, a bunch of cats. Everyone wants to go their own way and do their own thing, and somebody has to keep us organized, and somehow James does it. So, well, let's bring in somebody else here. It's time to move on, I think. Martin Serena, if you would like to join us.
I'm here. Hello.
Yeah, here we go. So you joined the forum about a month and a half after James did, actually. I went back and looked. I've gone through the old forum posts to see when you guys joined and what you were doing. And I'll ask you the same question I've asked everybody else. What got you into our group?
I was coming back from playing a D&D, and some rules just didn't click. And then I started looking for some free games, but it wasn't basic fantasy. It was Project 76 with the 5% principle that you may.
Wait. You played, there's Project 74 actually, but you actually played that?
No, I read it, and I really liked the decrease or increase in just 1 point instead of 4 points every 6 levels. That was something I never liked.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started reading about you, and then it said about basic fantasy, and it was like the evolution of what I wanted in a game. It has the progress I like, the simplicity I like, and it was like free. So what? It couldn't be better, no matter how I look at it. Sorry if I.
And so you joined the forum and started hanging out with us. But now I have to ask you a question. When did you learn the spell mind reading? And how did you get such good range out of it? Because when people ask questions about the rules, you know them better than I do. And you know why I did them. That's why I don't understand. How do you know why I did them?
I think we share the same principles in how the game should be designed and for whom. It's not just a game for money, it's a game for players, for the hobby. It's something I like it, and I see in you things I look after, not just a person doing something because they want fame, money. Is a person doing something for their players and for other person that could be a future player. Then I think we share some similar thoughts in not only rules and how to play the game, how a game should be played, and how to deal with persons. Because in the forum, I was in other forums and I didn't like how they treat people. It's like you are coming here, these are the only rules you can follow. We don't want nothing new, and if it's something new, it's mine because I make the game. You always say this is yours. I just give you the place. Do what you want. If it's good, it's good. If it's not, I will tell you in a nice manner. This doesn't work. This should be displayed. And I found a place where I could put some creativity, and a lot of person or people started to do new things. And you never say, "Hey, stop doing this." I don't care if it's the subclass number 17 of the night. You say, "Okay, you want to do it? Do it." It's not that you're taking credit, and that's another part I like. You always put the credit first. This is yours. I'm just giving you the space and the base rules.
Well, all right. Thank you for the kind words there. You don't undervalue your own value as a moderator too, though. I really feel like you and Robert and the other moderators, and of course James, as moderators on the forum, have really helped contribute to the fact that we have a friendly forum, and that's weird. It's weird that there's a forum where people are kind and friendly to each other and welcoming to newbies, because so many forums are absolutely not that. I mean, there's not that many forums anymore, but you know.
We are tight-fisted, but we are welcoming. We have the ground rules. Be nice. Don't screw up. But after that, it's just once in a while is someone that one has to call attention. But I think that after all this year, the community is known for how we treat people. So they come with expectations, and those no won't be welcome. They just don't show up.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's what we want. We want people to feel welcome. I mean, where are we going to get more people to write adventures for me? Yeah, if we don't welcome them in. But
the game free labor.
And you and Hadrian both have done art for the game also. So I should call you out as artists as well.
Yes, I was studying at the time art, and I saw the opportunity because I was lacking in something to do. And I say, hey, I can do something for here besides just writing something that I can do, but not much. And I recall the first drawing was the cockatrice.
Yeah.
And it was well received, so I say, hey, let's do some more. But now there are a lot of good artists, so I don't have much time, and I prefer giving them the
I'll be
that
honest
place.
with you. I'm not sure where some of our artists are finding their time. I have no idea if Fuse Blower even has a job because he churns art out so fast.
Yes, I enter the forum and sometimes I have to 5 new pieces, and I say I don't have the time to just do one scribble, and they are doing full color line
Yeah,
art. I say I don't know if they have a time machine or they can stop time or what, how they do it, but
yeah,
they are very fast, very good.
yep. Well, let's see. Who do we need to move on to now? That pretty much covers the editorial people that I intended to call. So I'm just going to go down my list and pick somebody at random here. No, it's not going to be random. It's going to be Dave Gerard. Dave, can you join us?
Come here. Give me a second.
And somebody else would drop out of
How
video.
dark it is.
Oh my God, you're in the
It was
dark, man.
light when we started this. Hang on. That better?
Yeah, Dave. Yeah.
Okay.
So I've never spoken with you either, right?
I don't think so. I mean, we've chatted, like you said, Facebook, uh, Discord, the forum. Yeah.
You you wrote one of the earlier adventure series that we published. Dragon Claw, was it Tales from the Laughing Dragon? I keep trying to call it Dragon Claw Barony, but it's Tales from the Laughing Dragon. Which is I have never run the whole thing. I've run the first adventure as an intro a couple of times, as a convention game a couple of times, so I've never run the whole thing. One of these days I need to actually run it. You have as many rockets as I do.
Yeah, I've still got a bunch I need to build over here. I haven't quite gotten to those yet. So,
Mine are all out in my office, and I'm in the house tonight. So it's your turn for the answer to the question. What got you into our project?
like a lot of you guys, I started playing D&D back in late 70s, early 80s as a kid. And fell in love with it. It was a saving grace for a lot of us. I didn't live in a very great neighborhood. And by playing this game on our summer nights, it kept us out of trouble. We would all pitch in our money to buy. We didn't have money to buy books for everyone, so we all pitched in. We bought one Dungeon Master's Guide, one Monster Manual, so that's kind of how we did it. We just threw on our money together until we could afford it. So anyway, and then I kind of, got older, discovered women and other things, and kind of just, kind of lost interest with it for a while. But then really, I think it was after my kids were born, I really started to miss it. I think we were coming through boxes, and I found my old, the original Forgotten Realms campaign set, and when I started getting online, I just honestly, I think I dropped in probably right about the time 3 and 3.5 were released, and I could not wrap my head around the rules. You know what I mean? And I'm like, how in the heck am I supposed to teach this to my kids when I don't get it? So I looked around, I kind of found a couple of things I thought might work, and then I don't know how. I think it might have been from Dragonsfoot. I'm not sure, but I stumbled onto Basic Fantasy, and as soon as I read it, I went, "Holy crap! This is it. This is the spirit of the original game. This just felt. I got those same little goosebumps, when I first, cracked open my first D&D manual, and it just had that spirit. I can't really explain it, but it just felt right. So I'm like, okay, so this is what I want to do. So I started writing this campaign for my kids. And I learned pretty easily. It was my kids and my wife that back in the day when we played 200-yard hallways. We walked a straight hallway forever. We didn't care. boy, the kids were like, "Are we there yet?" I started to realize I really need to kind of compact my dungeons in and get out of that 80s dungeon making framework. So yeah, and then I think about the same time we were putting together the anthology one. And so I had a couple other ones that I added to that. I also helped. I edited a ton, I think, in anthology one. Not, I wish I could have helped more later on, but I tend to do something too much and then I get burnt out on it. Um, so yeah, so I just I put it together and I told Chris about it. And he said, "Hey, if you want to do it, let's make it a campaign." And so I put those three little adventures together, called it Tales from the Laughing Dragon. I found the Dragon Claw. I can't find the guy's name, but just a one sheet, two sheet thing this guy had made, and I fell in love with this world because it was just the right amount. It had a little bit of backstory, but it was just wide open for me to kind of fit my setting into. So that's why I kind of picked it. So yeah, so that was it. And so yeah, that's how I got into the basic fantasy.
Well, I had forgotten that you had done editing, but I remember that now. I don't know why.
Yeah,
Of
I
course,
did. I think I editing. I think I fixed a bunch of maps. So a lot of the maps were ones that I took theirs and used here because I loved your mapmatic. I don't know why. I just loved it. It was because the way you wrote it was almost like coding, but in a weird way. So I would just
Mathematic,
oh, and
the
then
Mathematic plus two program has what has to be one of the strangest user interfaces I ever imagined, but it works.
it does. I
It
just
is
love
strange.
creating my maps with that. So I just went in there. Were a couple ones where they'd either hand drawn or we needed something a little more clear. And so I would go and remake the
Well,
maps. So
and I was dealing with the fact that I couldn't always count on having a good map artist to work my maps over. So that's why I wrote the program. I needed something that could consistently make not necessarily beautiful maps, but maps that were functional. And
yeah,
that's where that
well, they
came
had
from.
that the aesthetic though. You did a
Yeah.
good job of capturing the old blue tile aesthetic that I like. So
There are some compromises in the design of the program because of the way I designed the overlapping edges, where the doors are thinner than I would prefer them to be, but it's what I came up with, so it's what works.
right.
But
And
yeah,
I would always find little workarounds. I know sometimes like, well, I can't do that, but I bet you if I did this and this, it did. So yeah, I love playing around with that. I think it was half the fun was just learning it.
did you get a cat there, Hadrian?
Yeah, special delivery.
Yeah, look, I don't know if you guys can see. I got mine over here.
Yeah, yeah. I've got a bunch of cats in the house, but there's none of them on camera right now, I guess. So, let's see. Who should I bother next? Go down the list here. Leon, let's get you in here. Leon Atkinson.
Hello, hello.
Now, this is a person I know absolutely nothing about except he writes adventures. So, how did you end up on our team?
Well, I guess I was like, I had all this material from the campaign that I'd been running. I maybe I should say I started this campaign in like 17. That's when I picked basic fantasy after a couple of failed attempts with the kids doing like Dungeon World and Pathfinder. They just weren't good fits. And then I somehow convinced a bunch of dads to start this kind of father-son group, and that campaign's been running for like 9 something years. But I got to a point where I had a bunch of material from the campaign, and I thought, and I saw that you were saying like you started the project to get free adventures. So I was like, I ought to just give that stuff to the project. I'd been lurking. I don't think I created an account until like 4 years ago.
No, you kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I was around. I was just lurking. I was reading the forums, but didn't join. but yeah, like that, I'd been using Basic Fantasy for years by then. So I just started like compiling all the adventures that I had written for the campaign, and I thought I'll just make this LibreOffice document and dump it in and like fire and forget, and like let you guys take over and edit it or whatever. But then that turned into like a year's, like, I don't know, a year and a half of, okay, we've got to get this working and got to edit it. There's all these edits and stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm back in my days writing books. All right. And it was fun. I had all that artwork with stuff because I keep a blog. I write session reports after every session, and I just do that for fun. So almost every session has something I drew, so I was able to reuse that. Yeah, that's that. And why did I pick Basic Fantasy? Because it was open source. I mean, it wasn't so much about the cheapness as just like the availability and the kind of like symmetric relationship with the work.
Mm-hmm. I think we're the only ones that do that.
Sorry?
I think we're the only ones that do that. I think we're the only substantial open source RPG out there. If there's another community like this one, I don't know where it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are some, like, there's other ones, like, I think like D6 or some, there's some like D6 one, and I mean, people try it, but as far as like success, I mean, yeah, Basic Fantasy is super successful in this regard. And I mean, I think it's because of the way you run the community and the project. Because like you were talking about earlier, if you drop into other forums, it's really hostile. It's the typical, Usenet days of like forums.
Yeah.
It's always been that way, right?
Yes. Are you old enough to remember Usenet? Did you live there?
Oh yeah.
I spent a little time there, and it was not fun.
Don't look up my old posts.
Don't look up mine either. Okay, so I've got 3 people who've written modules that are in print on my chat at this point. I'm just getting ready to call another one because it looks to me like my next person down the line probably should be Todd Lyons.
Howdy. How's
Hey,
everybody?
Todd. I guess we can get 6 on the screen here if we try hard enough. So, it's your turn. I keep asking people the same question.
Well, men, you get to a certain age and, you start to experience these things that just happen to you when you get older. And some of those things you can see a doctor and get help with, like my blood pressure or CPAP machine. But the most pernicious of, elderly diseases, as far as I'm concerned, is nostalgia. So that really I turned 50 and it just really got a hold of me. And because I've been a Linux user since about 96, I didn't start using it full time till about 2001. Open source is really, really important to me. And so I started looking around just to see what was available. I had no expectation that someone actually had an open source RPG, let alone one that was based on BX, which is not the first D&D that I ever played, but was the first one that I could actually afford for myself.
Okay.
So I had really warm feelings about that. And there were the things about it that I didn't like. Like I didn't like classes or racist class, and I didn't like. I never did very well with the armor class system. How things go down as you get harder to hit and stuff. So to find something that not only open source, BX adjacent or retro clone, fixed all the things that I found really problematic or didn't like about the original system. Yeah, so it was it was love at first sight, basically.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
That said,
I'm reading the comments. Did you see the comments over here? The guys are talking about your radio voice.
I was a radio announcer from 1986 to 1989. That was my after-school job.
So you came by it honest then. It actually
yeah.
was a job. So yeah.
My father was in radio, so that's what gave me the notion that that was something that you could actually really do. So I went, and when I was 16, I got a job there. I'd done an audition for a commercial about 2 years before that, and they wanted a kid voice, and I did not sound like a kid. But at the point that I was able to work, though, they were more than happy to come in, have me work minimum wage to spin records and read news, weather, and sports. So it was cool. But getting back to the project, I should apologize for absolutely failing right out of the starting gate in that I did not write an adventure. I didn't get the memo, I guess. So instead,
the project is open source. It has always been about doing the thing that fires you up. I kind of lean away from using the phrase "scratch your own itch" because it kind of sounds a little personal, but it's doing the thing that you want to do, and that's fine. The first thing you did was okay. You're going to pronounce the name.
I'm not offended by anyone that pronounces it any way that they want to. I say Chrysogon's Coterie. Chrysogon. Okay. Cry, so, gun,
Gotcha.
If you can just put the visual pictures in your head, it's a little bit easier. Coterie, I'm not aware of any other pronunciation for coterie. It's a real thing.
And I guess that's my problem. I had misunderstood the pronunciation of that word. I thought the accent landed differently. It was coterie, but apparently it's not. So you have educated me, sir.
Thank you. So yeah, speaking of things that are scratching your own itch, for me that was the thing. Since I was like 10 or 11 years old, I wanted to make my own rogues gallery because I just found it had a lot of potential, and it kind of failed at it because I didn't like how it was set up, like a spreadsheet with these little things. You have to have a ruler underneath to be able to read, and then transfer those over to a sheet. And I thought, well, they've already done the monster manual, which was amazing. Why don't you just do that format and then marry it to the whole concept of NPCs? And so even though I wanted to do it when I was 10, I didn't have the life experience or the understanding of human behavior or years of a social work career and stuff that sort of made it easier to take my understanding of human behavior and try to weave that into something, kind of cool to use as a game tool.
Looking down the list, though, in terms of adventure writers, I don't know that we have anybody else on here who's done a significant book. Other than you guys, well, than me, but I mean, in terms of adventures, we have adventures from Al is in the process of doing a substantial book. Is there anything you guys want to say to each other? I mean, you all write adventures. You all write different adventures in different styles, and. There's Robert. Robert, do you have a question or a statement?
Well, I just wanted to point out Dimirag Martin. He's one of those people who is like a compatriot of mine. He always thinks outside of the box.
Yeah.
He'll come up with stuff that just is divergent from everything that all the old school people were doing. And that's something I loved about Martin. And he was always a sounding board for me for a lot of more of the harebrained stuff I was doing.
Okay. I guess I really, this is the part of the reason I wanted to do this tonight is because I don't know you guys. I mean, some of these faces I've never seen before, and even the ones that I have, I don't know a lot about. And it's kind of sad in a way because I've worked with some of you guys extensively. Robert and I have known each other for
long time.
Forever. Project started 20 years ago. We've known each other almost that long, I think, online. And this is the first time, Sunday when we tested this was the first time we ever spoke face to face, as it were. This is why I wanted to do this. I wanted us to get together and really all of us should enjoy where we are. One way or the other, whether you came in the project as far back as Robert or you walked on stage late, like Todd and Leon here, relatively speaking, you've all contributed measurably to the project, and I appreciate every single one of you. I think I need to call in one more guy, so if somebody could drop out to make a slot, two more guys, I guess, 3 more guys. I want to call in. Thorin, and what the heck, let's call in Cody and Al. And can 3 people drop out to make room for them?
I'm out.
Hello.
And I guess I should have Brian in here too. How did I not get Brian tagged? He's on. Hang on a minute. Where are you? There you are. Brian, if you'd like to join us, I just gave you staff access. If you drop out and come back in, you can join us also. Oh, good Lord in heaven. What are you doing over there? Dave, if you don't mind, would you drop your video for the moment? Okay, that gets us back down to 6 with 6 on the screen. So, Al Vetter, Brian Scalise, I've got Thorin Schmidt, and Cody Ravenstadt, and you guys are my volunteer GMs. And did Tim?
I think Brian has a bit of feedback.
Yeah, I think he does. And Hadrian, drop out for me. I don't have Tim in here. Tim, how are you not in here? Thorin, I guess Thorin never actually did the volunteer GM thing. He is the moderator, guy in charge of the Discord, so we got to be nice to him. You were going to. You volunteered. We just ended up not needing a 4th table in 2025. Yeah.
And I'll be ready to go again next year if you need me.
You have a camera, Tim, or are we just on audio? Oh, there we go. And this is a bunch of people I've actually seen. I mean, I see Cody at least once a month normally. Thorin, I don't see him that often, but drop out on the camera there for Tim. Maybe he'll get on this time. But yeah, so I don't know if you guys have anything you want to say to each other. It's not like you don't see each other once a year, but.
Hey, guys.
Hey, guys. It's always great to get to play and DM with all these guys.
Yeah.
So for posterity's sake, in case anybody's watching this video as a recording in the future, Basic Fantasy Adventure Binge, we've done 2 of them. Events are held at the FallCon convention in Quincy, Illinois, on the Saturday or the Friday and the Saturday of that event, of that convention. First year we ran 1 4-part adventure, and each volunteer GM ran a table full of people through the same adventure, with me rotating from table to table, taking over GMing. That means that these guys came in and were handed an adventure that they had never seen before and expected to run it for 2 days. And none of them murdered me or each other or any of the participants. So I was really proud of that. And then, of course, Thorin played, but yeah. And then in 2025, Tim was unable to make it, and Thorin was tapped to replace him, but we didn't need a 4th table, so we didn't end up having to do that. But again, this is in 25 we ran 2 separate adventures, one on Friday and one on Saturday, so they were 2-part adventures. I'm planning on doing that again this year. If any of you guys have requests for me for this year, now's the time to air them. Except for whatever Thorin's thinking about. I probably already know what it is anyway.
No, the only thing I would recommend is that one stint through the sewers was hard to get all in.
You didn't like the sewers? Why not?
Well, not the way we went, I guess. Apparently, we went
Were
the
you,
total wrong way.
were you guys were you at the table that saw every single encounter as a fight?
We were at Brian's table.
Yeah.
And,
Okay. Yep.
we apparently had the only DM that didn't go to the right.
That's okay. We had
I don't know what you mean, Thorin. All of my players ended up dead again this year.
Oh well,
your
yeah.
your players, Cody. They did. They're the ones that saw everything as a fight. You had Chris at your table leading the fireball brigade.
I sure did.
Yep. Yep. And Taylor and Michael.
We had plenty of fireballs at your table too that time.
Yeah,
because you took over my table for the second day.
And the third table ended up with an extra magic user, so you had more fireballs than anybody else. That was pretty wild. Well, I'm looking forward to doing it again this year. Unfortunately for us, QuinCon, the other convention in Quincy, is canceled this year. I think that really only affects. Yep, it only affects Thorne and Cody. I don't expect the rest of you guys to show up for that one. I just do 2 sessions there, but it's canceled this year, so I don't know what we're going to do. I'm just going to have to run Falcon on the binge and call it good, I guess.
I was kind of disappointed because I actually had a decent shot of making it this year.
Oh,
yeah?
Well, maybe I'm planning to go there. Maybe I'll run a basic fantasy table on Sunday.
Hey, yeah,
I might have to show up for Sunday.
There's no reason I couldn't run a game on Sunday for the Falcon, too.
Yeah.
Maybe Thorin and I will get together and we'll write an adventure for Chris.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
It wouldn't hurt my feelings. It would not hurt my feelings. So, yeah. You guys are crazy. I know you are. Gosh. Well, I want to thank all of you guys, all the volunteers, all the guys that have that helped out with that. The binge would not be possible without volunteer GMs, and you guys have stepped up and have done the job for me, and I appreciate it. I don't know what I would do. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't if I didn't have this many guys willing to step up and do this kind of thing. And I was a little nicer to you. I got you stuff in advance when I could last year, so I'm going to try to do that this year. So. Anyway, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say to you guys before we move on.
I know my mic was messed up the whole time, sorry. But yeah, no, the binge is a blast and appreciate all the hard work you put into it. And it's really nice to see Thorne and Tim and you in person playing every Wednesday night. And then it's so nice to get together and actually play in person. So it's a good time.
Yep, that it is.
So I will give you each a brief moment on this one, and I actually know the answer to the question for Cody, how you got into basic fantasy RPG. Cody walked up to my table at QuinCon and played a game.
I did. In fact, I think it was really the first substantial RPG experience I had ever. So I'm coming around the other way from most of the guys that have spoken so far, in that Basic Fantasy was really my first RPG. I think I had a session or 2 of Pathfinder previously, but at that point it had probably been 6 or 7 years since I had played, and so Basic Fantasy was kind of my first real sit down, play for a couple hours, have a great time. And then Chris invited me to his home game, and that's kind of the rest is history there.
Yeah, I have him and his wife both coming to my home game now. So anyway, in fact, this last Sunday we wrapped up a 20-year campaign. They weren't in it for 20 years, but we wrapped up a 20-year-long campaign. It was amazing. It was astonishing. It was crazy. I have literally never seen more fireballs used in one session.
That was fantastic.
I'm not kidding. We had a player character who almost completely unloaded a staff of power. That was amazing. So, Brian, you're probably the second youngest person on this chat after Cody. What got you into it?
Probably about 15 years ago, one of my buddies invited me to come over and play some D&D, and he was running 3.5 at the time. And I brought a buddy of mine. Had no idea what to expect. I was kind of a edge case nerd, so I wasn't like fully into it. I had no idea what I was doing. But then I realized within like 10 minutes of being a little ranger, hiding in the shadows and being me, that I like this. And then a couple sessions later, I had determined pretty much right away that I want to be the DM, and I've been DM ever since. And then I ran a 3.5 game for my friends for like 7 years, to the point where it sounds like everyone else in here had the same experience. It gets overwhelming and you want something simpler. And then I came across Basic Fantasy, and I kind of, like, in my mind knew what I wanted, but I had never played that way before, so it was hard for me to run that way. And completely by chance, I happened to be on the Basic Fantasy Facebook when you posted, I need a player for the game tonight. And I was the first. I was like, yeah, sure, me. I had no previous interactions with anybody in the Basic Fantasy thing, and then within 10 minutes of just sitting there, I was rolling 3d6 down the line with Chris and playing in his Wednesday night game. And I was like, well, if I'm going to learn how to do old school, this is how you do it. So, I've been playing and learning every Wednesday since, I don't know how even long that's been now, but so I started to convert my 3.5 into that. They weren't about it. They wanted their crazy character builds. I said, fine, I'll get another group. So I recruited everyone I knew and had like my entire extended family. I had like over 20 players. I had 4 generations playing at the same table at once, fighting a red dragon, all kind of stuff. Like, basically anyone who walked in my house got left with a Basic Fantasy book. And
I remember you talking about that game. I remember you talking about that. I remember thinking how amazing that was.
Yeah, some of them are available on the Discord. Just saying.
So, Tim, it's your turn, man.
Yeah.
How'd you end up here?
You know, I remember when you first announced you were doing this. I just remember I don't know if it was on Dragonsfoot or if someone had ported it somewhere else. It could have been either. But I just remember, and I remember seeing your name. I'd seen you post other stuff and everything. And so I don't know that I knew you, but I knew who you were. And I'm just like, okay. And then I kind of went about my merry way, and I've been lurking for many years, just kind of monitoring your progress, as like Mr. Burns might say.
Oh God, I have a stalker.
Yeah, pretty much. I've been watching you from afar, from California, from my underground lair.
I see.
So anyway,
I was like tell people how you moved from the coldest part of the country to the warmest. So
there's a method to the madness. Let's put it that way.
That's the right direction.
Anyway, I got specifically involved with Basic Fantasy in terms of playing it, and honestly, I've played I started with the Magenta box back in I guess it was 82, 83, something like that, and
the 81 release. So yeah.
Well, I mean, but that's when I played it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
The neighbor kids got it for his birthday or something, and we spent the next, number of weeks in his basement, going through the Keep on the Borderlands, complete with do-overs. So, I think the very first dice that were rolled killed a player's character. So we're like, yeah, well, we're gonna never do that one over. But honestly, my experience in some ways mirrors Brian, and I was in the right place at the right time in terms to play with you, because you just posted, and I happened to be on that forum wherever you posted it. Might have been Facebook, don't know, but I just saw. Yeah, well, it popped up, and I said, I'll do it. And you're like, okay. And then like 17 other people said, I'll play. And you're like, already full. I'm like, wow, I guess I was, you had no shortage of people who wanted to play that night. I'm like, okay, well, I've got nothing on Wednesday. This could be fun. I haven't played this version and stuff. And I went through it, and I have to always check what rules are because I've played so many different editions and just versions. And I'm like, how's Chris doing it in this one? And then I'm like, did he house rule that? It's kind of entertaining in some ways. But I really liked the community that I saw once I did join on a little more seriously. And here's an analogy that might resonate with Brian. I liked the idea of bringing everything back to the chassis, the original configuration, if you will, of how we played, and then we would add things. Because I've always found that it's a lot easier to add something than it is to take away. Like I had dabbled with Castles and Crusades, but I'm not a big fan of the monk class. And you tell a player that they can't have something that's in the core rulebook. That's a problem. I'd much rather have 4 classes or so in a book, and then we want to add a ranger to it. Fine, you're adding it. It isn't already there that you have to negotiate, or a different kind of ranger. There's been various sorts from lightly armored, two-handed whatever, to I'm basically a fighter, but I get spells. I just take more experience points to move forward. So anyway, it's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed the binge again. If people are on the fence about whether it's worth the trip, I mean, it's worth the trip from California, and I think Brian will say it's worth the trip from Florida. And we had a good time, and I think that'll continue to be a good time. So I plan on going this year. So you've got another DM if you need it, Chris.
Good. Well, I'm planning on doing it again this year. I got to get on the stick and start writing those adventures. Just for the record, I do have a plan. I just am not executing it very well. But
no, understood.
You know what the question is, Thorin? You have the oddest story of this bunch, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh dear. Well, I started out, late 70s, early 80s, playing with the basic set. I've played every edition of D&D, except the 4th. We don't talk about the 4th. But yeah, I kind of, been in the hobby and everything, and then went to that little convention called QuinCon, and honestly, the session that I had kind of signed up for wound up not happening. So I was looking around for, where can I go? And there's this basic fantasy RPG. And so I sat down at the table, and there's this weird guy running it. And
watch it.
Well, the weird guy playing it. So,
Okay.
well, you and I hit it off, and you're in IT, and I was in IT, and I just really had a spectacular time, and wound up with a free book, signed edition, even, and just kept coming back to QuinCon, and made sure to make room for both sessions if I could get it to play, and I joined the forum. I made a few posts on there. I made a little supplement about. I mean, I've always enjoyed the cleric class, and for me, people like making up monsters. I like making up gods. That's what I like making up, and so so I made that little supplement of how to make your own pantheon. Which I may change the name. Some of the guys in the Discord were like, "That's confusing name." It's called Playing God, because back in college when I was the forever DM, seemed like my characters were always wanting to call on their god for this and that, so I always found myself playing God. Blah blah blah. But anyway, yeah. So then I mostly what I've done is took over the Discord for you because, as I recall, I kept saying, "Hey, Chris, this would be really cool to have on the Discord. This would be really cool to have on the Discord. Next thing I know, he's like, here, do it yourself. You made me the admin. And so, you know, been doing
He's
that
going
ever
on. He gets to do it himself. I'm fine with that. I'm down with that. Do you mind?
Yeah.
Do you mind, Lauren, if I talk about the time that you about wrecked me at QuinCon
No,
after
go
you
ahead.
had your health issues? So Thorin
Go right
had.
ahead.
I'm just going to say he had major health issues. He can talk about the details if he cares. He had major health issues, the kind of things that are life threatening. And
I died, but I got better.
yeah,
Sorry.
and he shows up at QuinCon the following year, pulling an oxygen tank and being helped by his kids, and sits down at my table and tells me that what got him through going through his physical therapy was so he could come to QuinCon and sit at my table. Now, let me
Well,
tell you,
yeah.
that's what you told me. That's what you told me.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Is there more to it than?
Well, the nurses thought I was nuts when I told them that was what I was going to do. And so then all of my therapy involved, they're like, well, what kinds of things happen at the table? And so I was telling them, like, okay. And so they would knock, they say, oh, well, your pencil just fell on the floor, pick it up. And then like, oh, your dice flung over there. Now you got to get up, go over, get it, and bring it back to the table. And that's what they put me through for 2 weeks of intensive therapy to get me to where I could sit at a gaming table again. Yes.
But let me tell you, when somebody sits down at your table to play a game with you and they tell you that, that's pressure, guys. That's pressure. You don't want to run
praise.
You don't want to run a bad game. You don't want to run a poor game. You don't want to run a session that you're not happy with, because you got somebody who went through hell to get to your table, and it was a little stressful actually. But
well, I'm sorry about that, but I really
don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. You made it.
Now, Thorin sat at my table for the first binge.
Yeah.
And Chris told me about what happened, and I'm going, I've got it. It scared me.
I'm sorry, Al. I didn't scare you.
Because I hadn't DM'd for a long time, and it was my first chance of DMing again, and Thorin did one of the best moves I've ever seen when his character had an armor class of 20.
Oh.
Just planted his character right in the middle of the hallway and took the abuse of what we were facing and let the others around him shoot. So he was basically he was just blocking the road, acting like a tank, and letting the others take all the.
I remember that. I remember that story.
Yeah. Well, yeah. My son wanted to like move his character up next to my actual son. Wanted to move his character up next to me. I'm like, dude, no, get back, fire arrows. It's fine. It's like you're not going to hit me, and even if you do, yeah, so what?
Your other GM is commenting about you also. He claims you're a hoot. Okay.
Oh, Dave, yeah.
Thorin has a few GMs in here, I think.
Yeah. No problem. Yeah. Well, we have a lot of fun, and that's what I was like. I was a forever GM all through college and everything, and so I relish being a player. I'm sorry, Chris. I know you do too.
I know, right? That's my cross to bear there. Well,
one of these days I'd like to get Chris as a player in one of my games, just so he can have a different experience.
Uh-huh.
Well, we'll do that, Cody.
I have to say, I'm a little afraid of you guys sometimes. I don't have any idea what you have in store for me. Oh God, now my
I'm going to chime in right now because I know this group of guys along with Tim. Hey, Brian.
Hey,
You guys are the most fun to hang out with, whether we're at the binge and you guys are running your game, or if it's night and we go out to eat and just hang out. I have a blast. I don't ever sit down at a table, but I really enjoy you guys, and I'm so glad I've got to know all of you. And I look forward to this every year. And I'm forever grateful that Cody brought Emily around, because I just feel like I've adopted Emily. She's another one of my girls. And I just think you're the greatest group of guys. I've met Al's wife and son, and my kids think Michael is just the greatest. And Thorne's family. I just have a blast with all of you. And I just want you to know how much I look forward to seeing you every year.
Thanks.
So there you go.
yeah.
Thanks.
There you go.
Stay, Tracy.
I think I've only got one person left that I haven't called that I planned on calling on, and I guess we've got room down here. Let's have Surf Archer join us. And here he comes.
Fancy springing that on me.
What?
Fancy springing that on me.
Hey, you knew you were going to get called.
Yeah, I was muted, sitting there waiting.
Yep. But yeah, no. So I'll be honest with you. I'm not as familiar with your work as I should be. I know you've been with the project for a while, but why don't you give me the rundown? What brought you here, and what have you been up to?
Oh, what brought me here? That's an interesting one. So I started playing D&D in '82. Red box, back through blue box, etc. All the rest. So
Okay.
I've played and DM'd every edition. I prefer to DM by far. I'd had a hiatus during 3rd and 3.5 because, as you know, when players know a rule, they hold you to it if it suits them.
Yeah.
And 3rd brought a lot of new rules.
Mm-hmm.
Rules for everything, and I just didn't like it. I tried hard to like it, but I didn't. So I kind of faded away for a while and came back during 4th, which was, I felt like it wasn't D&D, but I wanted to start playing with my kids and get them into the hobby. To their credit, they played it anyway. Then when Wizards said they were going to do a new edition and it was going to bring back all the old mechanics and everything that came with it, I was pretty happy about that. So I got pretty heavily involved in that, and we played that for about 10 years. And then I started to feel the heavy load of the story-driven approach. I didn't want to railroad my players, so I always wanted to give them 3 choices, and then 3 choices at each point past that, which meant weeks of prep for a game. And yeah, that was very discouraging.
Well, I can see that. So
yeah.
That brought you to us?
Ultimately, yes. With a lot of other changes happening in the system, I just started really having a lot of nostalgic thoughts about the early game. So I went looking. I'd had exposure to some of the retro clones or OSR, depending on what you want to call it. I went looking for something that brought back red box play for me, but without the difficulties of dealing with THACO, and hopefully something that separated class and race a bit, to give my players a little bit more flexibility. And pretty much straight away found Basic Fantasy. I downloaded that and started tinkering with it for probably about a year before I created an account on the forums, and I think that was a year ago. That's
so you are the newest person who was on my list for this event today. That's why you got called last. It's not like when you're being called for a game in school. We didn't call you last because you were the least liked. You just are the most recent. So anyway.
Oh, you and your lies.
Huh? Me and my lies.
Oh, you and your lies.
Oh, God. I lie way worse than that. Anyway. So run down for me what all you have done. You were working on the beginner's essentials, but you said something else earlier when we were testing, and I don't remember what it was you were talking about.
Yeah, I got a list here. I had quickly jot them down because otherwise I won't remember. So I think the first thing I actually really started helping with was just a revision pass of Barks and Blades because I love the Barklings and I really
So you
wanted to see that.
did an editorial pass over that, yeah.
Yeah, which I mean that wasn't hard. It was mostly cleaning up some of the English. That was mostly it. So grammar and spelling and English and stuff like that. It was really good to work on that because I could see that it was very close to getting print. So
one of the things I've learned having Todd Lyons and Hadrian on the team is that apparently the spellings are different in Canada than they are in either the U.S. or the U.K. So that was a challenge, yeah. As you know, we have a policy of using the author's national spelling, whatever their spelling happens to be. And we've run into a few surprises with the Canadians because some of the stuff they do your way and some of the stuff they do our way. So
yep. And then Australia's different again.
I'm sorry?
And Australia's different again. So we're based off UK English, but we're a bit different. So when I was working on Barks and Blades, I tried to follow the Great Britain standards rather than the Australian ones.
So English is a language that doesn't know what it's doing when it goes from country to country, obviously.
Absolutely.
And I have run out of questions and I've run out of people to call on. So I'm going to open up the floor in the other direction. Any of you guys who have been on here and wants to come in here and ask me questions, I'm here. Form a line or something, I don't know. Try to cooperate. Surely somebody wants to ask me something. Oh, wow. I'm an open book, apparently.
I see a lot of people typing in the chat that I'm imagining are going to be bombarding you with questions there.
I'll answer questions from the chat also. Anybody who's here just as a listener is welcome to post questions in there, and we will talk about it. Go ahead and put your video back on if you want to, Cody. You're talking. I might as well see you. What are the plans for 2026? Survive. That's it. Sergio, what's next? Who knows? Yes.
Chris, can we hear from Justinian?
He told me he was not planning on coming on voice with us, but I do not have a problem with tagging him in the staff team. Justinian, if you drop out and come back, you can join us. Apparently, Al wants to talk to you. Now, I invited him, but
Sorry, it took me a second. I am not used to Discord. Hello, Al.
Hello. I know I've seen you on the forums, so it's good to meet everybody here, and I wanted just to hear from you. And now you're the one doing the Christmas.
The holiday adventures, very on again, off again. Yeah, I am like the guy in the Hallmark movie who works the job that keeps him from his hobbies. So I am constantly at work, working like career. So it's kids or family first, then career, and then hobby. So that keeps getting pushed out more and more. But yes, I talk on the forum about once a year, I think.
It's good to see you once. I just wanted to get a chance to make sure that you got your voice heard too, because you've been here, I think, longer than I have. So
I don't know how to math it out, but I bet you if you divide the number of posts you made by the number of days you've been on the forum, I would have the worst ratio for that. On the
I
forums,
don't
the
know.
longest with the fewest posts.
I have barely posted on the forum, and I've been there for probably 6 years at this point, I think. I'm not positive on that. But I don't talk very much on the forum just because I feel like I don't have much to contribute, despite what Chris says to the contrary.
Dustinian, you joined the forum in October of 2013. So you've been with us for 13 years, actually, on the forum. And we have communicated many times through the forum. But we've communicated many times through the forum, but then I get this in the mail. I get this from Dustinian. He mailed me. I'd call it a letter, but I have written books that were shorter or long. Yeah, we're longer than that. I mean, it's sort of this. It's quite and I love it. Dustinian sent me I've got a question for you when I get done with this. Dustinian sent me this letter, and he detailed his ongoing campaign with his kids. Well, his kid and his kid's friends. Is that how that works?
Yes.
And he ran down the whole thing with photographs and rundowns of the adventures, and I have never received anything like that before, and it was amazing. And I stood there I didn't even sit down. I opened the envelope, pulled that out. I'm like, I don't even know what this is. Pulled it out, started reading it, read the whole thing standing up, and I'm too lazy to do that, but I was just so stunned by it. I just stood there and read the whole thing. It was amazing. And I thank you online, and I thank you not to talk to you. I'll thank you this way. I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce your last name?
This is my real and legal name, Dustinian. So I was born Dustin.
No. The first name I understand how to pronounce. It's the last name.
Last name, Camberides.
I almost had it right. I almost had it right. I had the wrong A at the beginning, but I almost had it right. I have been trying to figure that out since the first time I ever saw your full name, and I never had a chance to ask you. So
no, I'll talk. Todd said earlier that no honest attempt at Chrysagan, I hope I got that right, bothers him. No honest attempt at Camberides bothers me. What bothers me is when people say Cambridge, like you saw the first 4 letters and just made up the rest, and that happens several times a year.
I had the same. I had kind of the same issue with Hadrian because I wasn't sure which of 2 pronunciations of his last name was actually correct. It's Salvatore, he tells me. I think I'm mostly getting the pronunciation right there, but I know other pronunciations for that name with the stress in different places, and I had to ask him. So I always want to call people by what they want to be called. I had to ask Robert what to call him on Sunday because some places he's listed differently. So I always want to call people by what they want to be called.
Since I'm on camera, I'll just say I wasn't intending to talk. I view myself as a super fan and in no way a contributor to this project. Like, hats off to all of you. I sincerely love the game. It is on the shelf behind me. It's a good portion of... I don't know if I'm pointing at the right shelf. Yes, I am pointing at the right shelf. All of that is BFRPG and Iron Falcon. I do play a ton of other games when I have a chance, but I keep coming back to BFRPG. So thank you all for all your work.
Let me stop him at this point because Dustinian has done one other thing that no one else has done. And I never asked anybody to do, to be absolutely fair. Dustinian has actually funded the project directly. Not in huge amounts, but in noticeable, useful ways. The prizes for the first 3 contests, for all 3 of the contest series, came from him. He donated money, and I turned around to figure out what to do with it. And I used it that way. That was what I thought was fair. And I'm not going to get into details about it. That's between him and me in general. But I do want people to understand that while I never ask anyone to contribute financially, and I don't really expect anyone to, it's a contribution. He contributed. Besides the fact that he is still working on that adventure for me for Christmas, right?
I am going to get the holiday adventures out one day.
I'm teasing you now.
I've always wanted that product that was a bunch of adventures inspired by like teachers' bulletin boards over the holidays.
Yep.
And I'm gonna finish it one day.
And I apologize if you were wanting to keep the fact that you had donated secret. I don't think I actually ever kept it secret, but I that was where those prizes came from. That's where the rewards came from for the people who did those things, and you know, there aren't a lot of expenses involved in this other than time. But you know, there are some, and you know, the project, since the OGL debacle, takes care of itself. But there was times when I was putting some out of pocket into it. So you know, the OGL debacle changed everything. A lot. Changed.
This sorcerer's on the beachfront really fumbled that one there.
The beachfront. Yeah, they did. They fumbled that one very, very badly. The only thing worse than squeezing money out of people is secretly conspiring to squeeze more money out of people. And in terms of ways to make customers mad at you. Well, thanks for joining us, Dustinian. Thank you, Al, for inviting him. I wanted him to come on and talk to us, but you know, a little extra impetus is appreciated. Is there anyone else? Yeah.
Why don't you tell about, for those people who maybe are aspiring to, gosh, I wish I could help out and things. Why don't you tell everybody about the bugbears that came out on the Discord?
Oh God. Who was that? Who was that called that out?
Rust somebody?
He's not with us tonight.
No. But that's why I thought, please tell the story.
Yeah.
Anybody can contribute, and who knows?
The first version of the basic fantasy RPG rules that included information about the bugbears treasure type was release 13, which was almost 20 years ago. It's like a week from now would be its anniversary. And I got the treasure type for the bugbears very badly wrong. And in 20 years, almost 20 years, nobody noticed it. Me or anyone else realized that they're...
I'm sorry!
Now listen, I'm not blaming you, Al. Jiminy Christmas. But no one ever noticed it. It never occurred to anybody that it was wrong. And we had it listed as the traditional treasure type for bugbears is B. Different versions of the classic game had different treasure type tables, but B was one of the early types, and it was always the treasure type for bugbears. I added individual treasure types. So I can't remember what the types are, 2 types in individual, and then B, L, M. Do not know where that came from. I don't know where I got those 3 treasure types, B, L, M, in lair for them. And Rustdwarf called it out because M is a really lucrative treasure type. It only has higher end value items. It doesn't even have, like, you know, silver pieces or copper pieces in it. It just only has higher value items, particularly gems and jewelry, and fairly large amount of them if you make the rolls right. And so this was a mistake. And at some point this year, I will release a new release of the Basic Fantasy Core rules that will change a very small number of minor errors, but that's one of them. And that error has lived in the game for 20 years. But this does lead to another mystery. What the heck is treasure type M? Because I went back after Rustdwarf called this out. I dug out all my old books. I can't find a monster that has treasure type M. Can't find a single monster in any of the classic books back to the 70s and mid-80s. Not a single one has treasure type M. What was it for? So if anybody knows the answer to that question, drop it in the Discord, or send me an email, or put it on the forum or something. Somewhere I'll see it, because I would love to know what treasure type M was supposed to be for originally. No idea. But whatever it is, it had treasure. Had a lot of treasure. James, why don't you just join us in here?
All right.
It just
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
to show you. It just goes to show you, doesn't it? It's easy to get involved, it's easy to contribute, and it's more rewarding than you think.
It is. It is. We are not mean to new contributors. We got some people on the forum lately that have made some comments about some things that edits that they thought should be made, and they will get credit in due time when those books are updated, because their work is appreciated. If you find one error in one of our books and we fix that error, your name goes in the credits as a proofreader. If that's the only thing you ever found, you still contributed. And if that's all you contribute, that's fine. If you want to hang around and become an editor or an author, or write adventures or supplements or edit stuff for other people, whatever, we'd love to have you. We'd love to have people.
I think we can also take a moment to acknowledge that how many people have been in the forums, been part of the project, and they've moved on, they're gone, but their stuff lives on. It's there. There's so many people to acknowledge. It's amazing.
I had a number of submissions from W. Smith. I think it's Will or William, from Dragonsfoot. He never came over to the forums. By the time the forums were up and going, he was already off somewhere else, but he contributed, if I remember right, Oil and Holy Water. The original text for Oil and Holy Water were contributed by him, I think. Or if it wasn't him, it was another one of the people that dropped out early on. But anyway, he did contribute some materials there. A guy named Nick Bogan joined and submitted the Strongholds rules. And that's it. That's all he submitted, but he submitted the Strongholds rules. And with some editing, they are still in there. They're pretty much the same as he wrote originally. We have a lot of people that have contributed. And yeah, we are richer as a community for having had those people join us. No matter whether their contributions were big or small, whether they wrote a whole book or found one error in the core rules, it doesn't matter. All of it was valuable. Every bit of it was good. Well, not sure where to go from here. That's Yes, Adrian, it does work in Dungeoneer. The Dungeoneer NG does, in fact, generate treasure type M, because I put all the treasure tables in it. I just didn't know what they were for. And actually, if you generate a bugbear lair in there, or a bugbear lair treasure in there, you're gonna, it'd be BLM. So, yeah. Yes, it's worth a lot.
I'll be honest, I would have looked at it and just assumed, well, bugbears just hoard a lot of treasure.
Way more than dragons.
Leon, what?
So, well, when I rolled it up, it was like over 90,000 in gold pieces.
Leon and Adrian, you guys can go ahead and jump in here. I think we've reached the chaos part. Anybody wants to say something or ask something or talk to anybody, on here, jump in and say what you got to say.
I had to look it up. Man Scorpion, whatever that is, and Mystic from the Rules Cyclopedia, they include treasure type M.
So you found it, but I don't remember the Man Scorpion or the Mystic in BX, and BX had treasure type M. I don't have my BX books in here; they're in the office. But
so I don't know. Yeah. Well, I, as a player, see, this is why I probably shouldn't be a player. I kind of avoid it because I would have probably noticed that, and I would have driven the campaign to just annihilating bugbears.
if you had done that, we would have figured it out sooner. Somebody would have gone, "Dang, that's a lot of treasure for bugbears."
I scraped all the field got all the monsters. And one thing I did with that was I built a spreadsheet to figure out what was the highest yield for monsters. And I'm thinking about it from a GM. The leprechaun is like the best value. If you can kill them, they have so much treasure. Or the amount of it's pretty hard.
But I mean, they should have they should by mythology have legendary treasures, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Man Scorpion doesn't sound like fun to fight. Yeah. I see your wife in the comments there, Cody.
Yeah, she has shown up. She has awoken from her nap after the stream, so she hopped in to listen in.
She might as well jump in. Where is she at? My wife keeps jumping in, so what the heck?
I don't even play.
I can tell you, she's now talking about wanting to make Moon Elves as a player race on the forum somewhere.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
She even has a forum account.
If you drop out and come back in, Emily, you can unmute.
I'm sure we would love her to do that anyway.
Hello.
Yep. Cody's wife.
More formally known as Emily.
Well, I already introduced her by name, so Emily has played been playing a character in my game, which we just finished, who was based on an NPC from my online game, and it was almost accidental. She got to play that character, and then decided she liked her better than she did the one she rolled for herself, so she kept her. And that is Erithiel Kelkurel, the elf diplomat. There she is. Now, I will point out to you who aren't familiar with how elves work in my campaign world that in Elvish, diplomat and spy are the same word. They're just diplomat by day is spy by night. So, anyway, and that was the character she was playing. You guys have a heck of a cat.
Yeah.
She's very fluffy.
I see that.
This
they
is
have a fluffy
Maya.
one too. So, we're running this until 9, but we're not hitting a lot of conversation at this point. Does anybody else have anything they want to talk about?
I actually wanted to ask Thorin if we ever came to a resolution on that rat problem that we saw with the rat swarm and the giant rats being wildly different XP values. And you are muted at the moment, Thorin.
There we go. I mentioned it on the forum, but I don't really recall if anybody proposed a solution.
I don't think we did, and I'm pretty sure I went back to BX and looked and saw that we were consistent with the old rules. So yeah, rat swarm is worth disproportionately more than a group of giant rats, and it does seem irrational. I mean, the distribution of experience points was different in the old game, but not that different. Not so different that there's not still a discrepancy. And I don't know. I was hoping. I said I don't want to sign off early because I am hoping to have a couple more people drop in. Particularly, I'd love to see Gabe if he can make it in here. He had thought he might be able to towards the end. So I'm going to hang on to here if I can. But
yeah, and I guess something else I wanted to ask is like, Chris, what planning do you put into a campaign? Because I know we're getting ready to start another one for your home campaign, and I'll be honest, I get overwhelmed very quickly, and I keep finding myself disliking things that I start to put into my own game.
Okay, that is a harder question. And let me preface it by saying that I'm not happy with every campaign I've ever run. Before we started the campaign that we just wrapped. So this is more than 20 years ago. I was running a second edition game for Mike and Alan. That was it, just the two of them. The two guys from my original game back in high school. I'd come back from the Air Force and had started a game with these guys, and so we were running this game. And without going into a great deal of detail, I don't like much of anything that I did there. I really felt like it was not my best work. It was not even good work. Despite that, we had a good time. You have good players who are, not poking too closely at the premises of the campaign, and it will be fun. It still will be fun. But part of it was I did have an overarching plan for this adventure. I knew where we were going in general. I did not know how we were going to get there, but I knew where we were going in general. I didn't railroad the party, but I did herd them a little bit, getting them going in this direction or that direction. I used in-world hooks to drive them rather than just forcing them to go where I thought they ought to go, which is not right. I don't care for that. But still, I don't feel like it was my best work. I don't feel like it was even particularly good. When I set out to run this campaign we just wrapped up, I had a plan to run an adventure in my old campaign World of Blaine in the city of Lirwin on the edge of Lake Dyessa, and that was it. That was the whole plan. There was no campaign, there was no future, there was no anything going forward. I had worked with Dragonsfoot on Endless Tunnels of Inlandin, Stefan Pogue's adventure. And the version, not even the version that Dragonsfoot put out in PDF, but the first version that I saw from him, I actually ran that as a basic fantasy campaign. I did extensively change some of the stuff in the third level down because I had by that time begun to get a few ideas. But I still didn't really have a big plan in mind. And we just went forward from there bit by bit. So the answer to your question is I don't plan that far ahead. I did at some point, about the time we were running in Landon, foresee the scene we just did, the ending of this last campaign. I foresaw that scene would be coming at some point in the future. I wrote the letter that you guys had from the NPC, Lenina, that was about, what had happened to her husband. All of that stuff. But I had no plan for the road that was going to get us there. I did have an idea of how that scenario was going to go that was not right, because I did not foresee that Alan would figure out how to violate the rule that said you couldn't travel in time. For those listening, in my campaign World of Blaine, it is a well-known and established fact that the gods do not allow time travel backwards. You cannot go baxwards. You cannot violate cause gods don't like it and they don't allow it. The problem with it is I also ran the adventure, the X2 adventure, Castle Amber or Chateau d'Amberville. I'm pronouncing that badly, I'm sure, but the Castle Amber adventure, part of it takes place in Averoigne, in Clark Ashton Smith's fictional French province. In the Averoigne stories and the adventure itself contains potions of time travel. They aren't used that way in the adventure, but they exist. Sometime after that, I actually read Smith's stories, and so I understood how the potion was supposed to work. But, so they traveled from a world where time travel was impossible to a world where it was possible. Furthermore, he managed to figure out that by my own canon, a portal that led to Averoigne that they knew about had been there that long enough for them to go back, all the way back to the time that they wanted to go to investigate this situation. Alan figured out how to break my own rules, and I can only commend him for that. Unfortunately, Alan passed away a few years ago. He's one of my very best friends, and he did not get to see this. So I really do hate that, but he was rightly proud for having figured out how to get around my rule, and I have nothing but respect for somebody who can do that. But again, I really didn't plan very much of this. And The other climax of that campaign that we did last year, the deposing of the Usurper King, none of that was planned. The Usurper King idea didn't even come to me until we were 12, 14 years into the campaign, before it even occurred to me that that would be the next step for that NPC, since you guys had never managed to permanently kill him and he still hated you. That would be the next obvious thing for him to do, would be to find a way to take over the kingdom. And once I thought up that idea, I presented the scene. I still didn't have a plan. I didn't know how you guys were gonna deal with it. When you made your plan for how to get into the capital city, your two-pronged assault on the city, I was simultaneously so proud of you guys. Because the one thing players do not do in a D&D game is make a plan and then stick to it. It just doesn't happen. Y'all can raise your hands if you've ever seen that, but players don't make a plan and stick to it. They made a plan, a complicated plan, and they stuck to it, every piece of it, and they pulled it off, and they ended up winning the day. So I was simultaneously so proud of them and absolutely terrified as a GM, because this was the first climax of this game. This was going to be probably the big scene for years. I had to do it right. I had to run it right, and I just absolutely sweated bullets over that. And I'm happy. No one has told me I did a stupid job, so I'm going to hope that I didn't. But it was challenging. This last Sunday was not so challenging. I had a pretty good grasp of what was going to happen there. You guys had pretty much lined it up for me. But boy, I had no idea with last year's invasion of the capital city. I absolutely had no idea what was going on there. And I just had to... Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'll tell you, I was convinced you knew what you were doing 100% of the time.
One of the secrets of being a good game master is if you don't know what's going on, somehow look like you do anyway.
I think one of my favorite moments from that climax was a hasted Garrig just absolutely gutting that green dragon in a single round.
Oh, yeah. Yes, a half ogre with a magic two-handed sword and haste. Also known as Captain Cuisinart. He slices, dices, and makes julienne fries. For those of us old enough to remember the Cuisinart commercials from the past, anyway. Yeah. Thorin, did you say something?
I was just chuckling about julienne fries.
I started to say that. I started to say that it's the old piece of advice for GMs from the music scene, which is if you make a mistake, keep going just like you hadn't.
Yeah, that's true. I will say though, and we had a discussion about this at NewtCon. I did a panel there that I should have recorded, but we had a discussion there about running games and making mistakes. And one of the things that game masters need to learn to do is to admit mistakes. Not every time. You want to maintain at least the illusion that you know what you're doing, but sometimes you do something that's so dumb that you're only going to look stupider if you keep doubling down on it. So you have to know how to recognize that, how to back away from it, say, I made that decision in the spur of the moment. It wasn't a great one. Let's do something different. And go that way. That's, I think, just the way to be. There are too many times when game masters get themselves into situations they shouldn't be in because they're not willing to tell the players. You give the players hooks for adventures and they decide to go some direction you haven't planned at all. Sometimes you can just finish the session by throwing random encounters at them. They're traveling down the road to the town you weren't expecting them to go to. You throw random encounters at them and keep them busy for the rest of the session, and you have until the next session to deal with whatever's going to be happening in that town. But then sometimes they're right there at the door where they can make a left turn off of all the plans you have and everything you have built out, and you have no idea what's behind that door because you just didn't have time to plan for it and you did not think they were going to go that way. And it is okay to tell players, if you guys go that way, I don't have the plans for what's on the other side of that, what's down that road or on the other side of that door or whatever. if you want to go that way, that's fine, but we'll have to stop right here and I'll have it ready for next time. And that's where you're at. That's just what you have to do. Too many game masters are unwilling to do that, and they do increasingly stupid things to try to deter their players from doing the thing they don't want them to do, instead of just admitting there's a reason why they can't right now. So that's my best advice for you, Cody. Don't be afraid to admit mistakes. Don't be afraid to admit real-world considerations when you just don't have material for whatever they're going to do, or you don't have the time left for the encounter they're about to walk into. If you got half an hour left in the game, but they're about to walk into a huge fight scene, arena battle or something like that, and you know it's going to take more than half an hour to finish, it's okay to tell them that. Because you don't want to walk off in the middle of a fight and try to pick it up 2 weeks later. That'd be crazy. So.
I think a lot of the problem that I see with Cody getting as frustrated as he does is he sometimes does not get the most reliable players. And when his players are not reliable, he thinks it's a reflection upon himself as a GM. And it's totally not, because he runs super fun adventures. Like, I have never not once had fun playing with him. And I think
yeah, dude, I wouldn't show up if it wasn't fun.
Forward again. Reputation as a game master in the old school is difficult to build. When I started going to QuinCon, I could not fill tables. I could not get people to show up. Of course, part of the thing was I was running a game that nobody knew anything about, Basic Fantasy. And for the first couple of times I went there, I just could not get a table full worth a damn. I went to a couple of open game days at a game store in St. Louis some years ago before COVID. And again, I had difficulty filling a table. Although eventually I built up a few people that live in the St. Louis area that will show up for a game if they know I'm coming, and I just make sure that they know, and then I don't have to worry about my table being full. But it's hard. It's hard to build reputation. The fact that I run this project has built me more reputation than I deserve. I cannot be as good a game master as people seem to think I am, because nobody's that good. But it has. It's built reputation, and it is tough. Cody, you're starting out. You're both young and unknown. So it's going to take you a little while to build up the reputation that you deserve. I'm going to have to play one of your games one of these days. You're right about that. Oh, there's Thorin. He found his video.
I need a put up hand button. I think the size of the convention and the involvement you have with that community plays a big role in that as well, Chris. So the small convention that's running here in a couple of weeks, my first table booked out in 2 weeks, and this is about 6 months before convention. Okay. My second table booked out very, very quickly. I've never GM'd in a convention before.
Oh, well, it's an experience. You got to be prepared for the fact that you might get really weird people, Thorin.
I'm expecting really
it. Showing up at your table, but there you are.
It's not Thorin. Yeah.
Yep.
If I'm going to talk, I should be on camera.
I think Thorin's muted again.
Yep, Thorin's muted again.
Yep.
Yeesh. I think my phone's doing it automatically for some reason.
Your phone doesn't like you. That's okay.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It never does. But I was going to say, Cody, I bet, we joked about it, but I bet you if we put you at a table at FallCon, people will play, and then you can invite them to the online game.
Yeah, I absolutely could. And you and I might get together and make plans to run a game on Sunday, FallCon. I have to see what mine and my wife's life looks like before I get too deep into that. But there's no kind of adventure.
I have an advantage on that. It's like, when I decide to stay an extra day, I just can.
If you guys run a game at FallCon on the Sunday, assuming I'm not sleeping it off that day, I will show up and I will play. And there's every possibility you might get some overflow of players left from the binge, depending on how far they came to get there. I don't know, because I'm not sure how many of them just go home on Sunday. They tend to just go home on Sunday. Well, we can see what happens. I know Ray is not going to complain about you guys running a game.
No, and last year, the Sunday gaming scene was actually pretty good. There were quite a few games and players running around the room besides the Binge. So
I may be guessing at this, but I'm assuming FallCon will probably have a better turnout this year just because there won't be a QuinCon.
That is a good guess.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, you're gonna have people that are not going to come because it's not QuinCon, but then you're going to have people that want a convention that don't have QuinCon to go to. So I think we're going to get at least some of the QuinCon people that haven't been coming to FallCon. So maybe it'll do all right. Anyway, well, Surf Archer, whatever your name is, I don't actually know your name. I hope that you're
Doug.
Huh?
Doug.
I'm sorry.
My name is Doug.
Doug. Okay. I have terrible hearing, so it's not helping things. But yeah, I hope your convention goes well. Sounds like you're in good shape for that.
A little bit more preparation to go, but yeah, it's looking really good. We've hit 90% of seats, so we're pretty happy with that.
Are you doing an original adventure or one of the published ones?
I'm running N1 under Basic Fantasy, the final dungeon, and the second game I'm running is one of my own, which I'll upload to Basic Fantasy forums afterwards.
Nifty.
I look forward to seeing it. Get you your own. How big of an adventure? How big are these adventures going to be? How many pages are we looking at? Just a general guess.
I'm not sure. I was originally aiming for it to be a bit much smaller, but it's getting quite big now.
They do that. The reason I said it is for economic reasons. I don't like to publish short books because there's a fixed overhead to the book plus an overhead per page, and I prefer to publish bigger books so that people can get more benefit out of their money. I mean, that's what it comes down to. So if they're shorter, we'll put them into an AA series, and if they're longer or you're going to do several of them, you can have a book with your own name on it.
Yep.
Doug, I got it. I've got that now. All right, we're good. So,
20 pages plus 3 map pages so far.
A little short, but if that's just your start, you made it there. We'll see.
Maybe I thought maybe an AA. So
we will work with whatever you give us, as always. That's pretty much what we've always done. I look forward to it, though. More adventures is always fun.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else want to get in here? I've had the same people on my screen here for a little while.
Yeah, we can fall out of the video for now.
Well, I'm just looking down the list here.
What's up, Alex?
James and Al and Robert, Hadrian, stay on with me. If you guys want to join us in here. James is not. James is just on voice. So this is it. This is my team. I'm so glad to have all you guys to work with. I mean, everybody here, all the authors that I've been talking to, I'm happy to have all of you guys around. But I really appreciate the work you guys put into this on a day-to-day basis, on a whatever. And I know it's irregular. Sometimes we just don't have time. Sometimes you have stuff going on in real life, but the fact that there's a bunch of us means that if something needs to get taken care of, there's usually somebody to take care of it. That's one of the reasons why I have so many moderators. One of the reasons why I have made an effort to build up this team, and I am really, really happy to have you guys working with us. I hope I haven't been too difficult to work with. I know I can be inattentive sometimes. I mean, I'm always a delight, but It says my wife's over here making noises. Yeah, but I know I'm not always as attentive as I ought to be, and I appreciate you guys taking care of things when I'm distracted. And Martin Serena, I will call you out too because you have done the same thing. And Dave Gerard, you guys take care of things. You're in there doing the dirty work of moderating the forums and keeping it neat and tidy. And I am probably failing to call somebody else's name who deserves it, and I apologize for that. But yeah, this has been an amazing ride. Oh, we are early, but I'm running out of things to say. So
looking at the chats, and Necron99 just posted, will there ever be more official development of the Western Lands or Morgansport setting?
yes, yes, absolutely. The campaign that I am starting to replace that 20-year campaign that just wound down, and we have sort of already started it as a B game, but we're going to have all the players involved in it now. That is set on the northern continent. The adventure series includes within it Evan Venture Tour, which was my friend Bob Benton's adventure. It's part of what I'm presently calling Tower of Marathia. The adventures are set on the Viataria, the great trade road leading from Ravenstone westward along the coast and then northward into the heart of what used to be the Itarian Empire. The Itarian Empire was heavily fueled by the slave trade. They built this fantastic road out of concrete that nobody else seems to know how to make, so the road is an artifact almost. They built this fantastic road to ship in slaves until the day came that the slaves revolted and tore the empire to shreds. The empire, the territories that were part of the empire are, some of them are a little lawless. Many of them have, consolidated power in the hands of local lords, barons, or whatever who run their little areas on the road. They all still depend on the trade road. The Tower of Marathia is a tower built on top of a toppled pillar that must have been built by the gods because it is huge. The pillar juts out over off the coastline over the ocean, and the tower sits on it, overlooking the ocean. Marathia, the Archmage, is also a Medusa. And despite that, she runs a town called Gitania, named after the woman who was her adopted mother. Gitania is a village, but it's backed up by an archmage who happens to be a Medusa. So, slavery is strictly illegal in Gitania, so slaves only need to escape that far and borrow 12 gold pieces for somebody to pay the head tax, and they become citizens and thus defended by the archmage. Despite all of this, she's not necessarily nice or good, but she is fair and can be dealt with by players. So that's where the adventures are supposed to start, in that area. And then the adventures move up the trade road towards the west, away from Ravenstone, into the more and more iffy territories until the second module that I have written introductory materials for, Kingdom of Sushuri, which is a large but it's smaller than the Empire kingdom that grew up on the wreckage of the Empire. And Sushuri is it's got more politics in it. It's going to be a more political adventure series, but it starts out with basically clearing the lair. That adventure series will be meant to start with characters around mid-levels, around 5th, 6th level, so that the lair they're going to be clearing out is going to be a pretty tough one, and then they're going to move from there into more and more, well, right now, sketchy in my imagination, because I don't have the details, until they get to a climactic adventure that involves the succession of the throne of Sushuri. So, yeah, is there more Western lands coming? Yes, there's more Western lands coming. All of that. I hope those descriptions weren't too bad, but yeah. Going through the list here.
Actually, the book that I'm working on with the Grimfall quests takes place in the Western lands, and they're going to the northern continent a couple of places. They're going to Evanrow. They're going to the western or the eastern side of the map, and exploring around there, exploring around Pirate Island. In my version, I've named all the islands and rivers, and lakes and everything that shows up on the map. So I've got all of that information rolled into this.
We need to look at each other's materials, Al. I need to look at your stuff, and you need to look at mine. We need to see if we can reconcile them. They don't have to agree with each other, but if we, at this stage of development, if we can kind of make them do that, that would be great, probably for everybody. I would love to. I don't want to see the Western Lands fully detailed, but it doesn't hurt my feelings to try to get your adventures and my adventures to fit together. That would be great. You could have an extended campaign that way. Bounce back and forth between the stuff from Tower and Sutchery and the stuff from your adventures, if you're cool with that.
I'm good.
All right.
I'll show you what I've got so far.
We need to talk. I don't know when I'm gonna have a chance to look at that here soon, but yeah, we definitely want to talk about that. Dustinian asks in the chat if I want to talk about the invisible work that goes into maintaining the community. Yeah. He mentions keeping bots out. We've been really successful keeping the bots out by using the new user options on the forum, where new users can't make posts without them being approved. It's usually pretty easy for me to look at those unapproved posts and see if they're a bot or not. And if they're a bot, I nuke them from orbit because it's the only way to be sure. Occasionally we have somebody that's
getting better. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry for interrupting. Bots are getting better though. I was quite surprised when you told me that you actually had a private message exchange with one of them.
I'm still not sure. I am still not sure about that one. There are two that have me bumfuddled. That was one of them, and we have. I won't name any names, but we have at least one member on the forum that can carry on a conversation by private message, but their posts on the forum look like AI. But so far, they haven't posted any hot links that go bad places, which is what usually the bots are trying to do. So I have absolutely no clue what's going on there. It may just be a real person who's using an AI to assist them with their posts. And I wouldn't do that, but that's not strictly wrong. Using Grammarly to fix your grammar or whatever. I don't know. There are a few corner cases. There's a few that are hard to tell, but most of the time the bots are pretty obvious. The real work of maintaining the community has always been what the moderators do. Martin, Serena, and James and Robert, keeping the people from becoming rude to each other on the forums, keeping them from. Well, one of the secrets of the forum being polite is the fact that we really only allow conversation about one topic. It's a broad topic, but we don't really allow conversation about subjects that could become divisive, so it does help a lot. But I'm reading the other comments on here. Yeah, Mr. Square Peg asks the same question that we get a lot. When will the Field Guide Omnibus be available? It's big. It's going to be a while. And when I say a while, I mean do not plan on buying it for Christmas. Because if it gets done this year, it would be a miracle. It is a big book. Boggo is doing major work in getting it organized and cleaned up and so forth. But there's just, Al's got to look at it. James got to look at it. I got to look at it. That's a bare minimum. Or Hadrian could jump in, whoever wants to. But the editorial staff, we're all going to have to look at it. It's going to have to go through all of us because there's just so much stuff there, and we all look at it from a different perspective. We all see it differently. I see organization. You're waving, Surf Archer. What do you want to talk about?
I just want to say I've done 2 read-throughs of it, taking detailed notes to provide back to Boggo, and it is a monster.
Well, there we go.
It's huge.
So you've been working with Boggo on this.
Oh, yeah, I love it, and I want to do everything I can to get it out, but it's a massive piece of work.
Martin makes a comment about art coming in and breaking the flow of the Field Guide Omnibus. Listen, do not worry about that. I will beat that sucker into submission when it comes time, but it's got to get through all the text editing first. There's no point in starting on pictures and picture organization or flow correction until we have the text right, because you'd be surprised how much difference 1 or 2 words can make in the flow. So we need the words as right as they're going to be before we start putting pictures in. Yeah, Martin, deadlines. What are those? I agree. That's pretty much how we do things. Deadlines is one thing we don't believe in. We're willing to believe in dragons and demons and giants, but deadlines, no, those aren't real. No. Yeah,
I've told my daughter to get on the forum and get an art piece in there, because I want her to start doing art again for the project. She did the
I'm
first
always
2.
happy.
She was a minor, so I had to sign for her, but I told her to get on there and do it. And anybody else that knows I'm not an artist, I'll be the first one to admit that I am no artist whatsoever.
I get it, man.
I'm happy that she got the art bug, and she did a good job with the leprechaun and with the skeletal legs that she did for the
Yeah. Hey, I gotta ask a question. Necron99, you are an artist, right? You can post that in the comments, please. You've done some stuff for us, right? Okay, dude, I want you to bail out right now and come back in and join us voice, because you are one voice I haven't heard from yet. Unless you just don't want to.
I'm also looking to get back in artistry, so I may take a look. I can.
Well, I look forward to seeing that too. I don't think your husband has a credit other than playtester yet. So, Necron, are you with us? Necron?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are. No camera, I guess.
No, sir, I do not.
That's all right. That's all right. So, hey, you've done art for us, right? I thought you had done some art for us. I knew I recognized your handle.
Basically just maps for right now.
Basically just maps is still art. That still counts.
Well, I put some art on that Facebook page, but
the rule is if you contribute anything that gets you a credit, you have contributed. That's what's involved in contributing. So there you are on the forum with your now I see your avatar and I know who you are.
It's not my fault.
Not your what do you mean not your fault?
Whatever you're thinking I did, I probably didn't do it.
No, I mean I'm looking at the cleric avatar. There you are. Okay.
You were the one I played with back when I was 15.
Oh my God, that's you?
Yes,
all right,
sir.
so you get to answer the same question. How did you end up doing that?
I just went to that little toy store there in town, and you had a flyer up that said, anybody want to play? I pulled one of the numbers off, called it, and my little 15-year-old self came and played, I think it was 3 games with you and your college buddies.
Why don't I remember that?
You were probably doing a lot of weird stuff back then.
Because I don't remember anything, says my wife. So that's the answer to that question. That is sad. I don't remember that.
That was
Gosh.
after the third game. I think you joined the Air Force or something.
Oh my God! You go back to when I was. You said college buddies. I assume you just meant the guys I played with back then.
Yeah, you were like 17. I think you had just started college or was just getting ready to finish your something.
So you're from this area?
Yes, sir. Right there by Kirksville.
Are you still in this area?
Oh no, sir. I'm in Louisiana now. I retired from the military down here.
Okay. Boy, I'm sorry I can't remember you, but that I will admit at this point that is long enough ago that my memory really doesn't go that far back. So I read stuff I wrote back then. Did I write this?
You and I have played on your Red Bluff game online.
Oh yes,
And
Red Bluff.
I've probably been playing Basic Fantasy for probably 2008, 2007, and I never put it together until I was telling the story on Facebook about my first game, my real game, and you were like, "Oh, that was me," and I was like, "Yeah, I bet it was," because we came out to your little farmhouse and we played that game, and you gave me a ride home actually that night. That's when you were telling me that you were joining the Air Force.
Yeah. There are a few people back then. We were rotating our group a lot. Some of the people that I'd gone to high school with had moved away, and the group had shrunk in size. And I picked up some people, and then we were looking for players at that point. But then I went ahead and joined the Air Force. But wow, that is a long time ago.
Yes, sir. That was my first D&D game. Well, I mean, I'd been DMing,
Your first D&D game was with me. You're playing AD&D First Edition if you were playing in that group.
Yep, and you took us through, I don't know if it was actually in Thieves World, but you were borrowing heavily from it, and it caused me to go out and get the books and start reading.
Now wait. I hate Thieves World with a passion.
Sure, that was...
Now I played in a game in college with a guy who liked Thieves World and used a lot of it. That might have been what that was. And that was, that could be. I think that may be what happened, because I hated Thieves World, but he liked it. He ran games that were based on it, and I just never cared for it. Everybody's got their own preferences, I guess, but knew a guy back then by the name of Tony, and I can't think of his last name, who ran a Traveler game. I played Traveler one time. I did not understand anything about the world. Now that I understand it, I want somebody to run Traveler so I can play it. I don't want to run it. I'm not a science fiction GM. I'm not equipped for that, but I can play it. So anyway, but yeah, that has to be, that's a long time. But that was AD&D First Edition. Whether it was the other guy, it was Larry was his name, or whether it was me running it, that was an AD&D First Edition game. That was crazy. That was crazy. So anyway, and now you're still hanging out with me.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll say the same thing to you I've been saying to everybody else. Thank you for everything you've done for the project. Thank you for just being there and supporting us all this time.
Hey, y'all done all the work. I just play the game.
Well, you did, but you did do some artwork. You've been an art credit. I'm trying to think what else you had done, but I'm drawing a blank on it. But
I did the map for. Well, I did a couple of maps, but I've started a bunch of things that you've helped me with, and a bunch of the people up here on the screen have helped with. But I got bad imposter syndrome and procrastination, and I just stop about halfway through and get tired of it.
Yeah. And that makes me think of something that I really did mean to say to every one of you who's been invited on here to speak. Every one of you that's contributed to the project. If you're suffering from anything resembling imposter syndrome, I'm not a therapist. I can't make it go away, but I can tell you right now, your imposter syndrome is wrong. Y'all are amazing. Again, whether you did one little thing or you have been supporting the project for years, y'all are amazing. What you did is what you did, and you did it, and it was done, and it was good because we used it, we shared it, we've all enjoyed it, and we've all benefited from it, from all of your work. Every single one of you deserves to feel good about this, to feel like you've accomplished something, because you have. We have accomplished something here. And it may not be the best game in the world or whatever, but I know there are people that have that get a lot more money than I could if I was trying to, which I'm not. But there are people that sell a lot more copies than I could. But we have a dedicated community here of people who produce fantastic stuff, and I have enjoyed all of it. I've benefited from a lot of it, and if it's an adventure I haven't run, somebody has. Every one of these things has been used somewhere. I've run almost everything out of the AA series. I've found every bit of it to be good. Y'all need to revel in this, to appreciate it. And, I can't help you with therapy, but I can tell you right now, if you feel like you don't deserve to be here, no, you do. And you should all feel good about that. I will, on a vaguely adjacent note, I've had a number of players. Necron makes me think of this. I've had a number of players that have joined my game in the last 20 years. Joined my in-person game in the last 20 years, who have hung around for a few sessions and then left. And their reason was that I don't run my game rules as written. Now, those of you who know me, and you all know that I have a terrible knee-jerk reaction to rules as written in the first place. But I have had players that have complained because I use supplements in my game. I had one player who complained because he didn't feel like if I used the optional rules in the back of the book that I was running the game rules as written. They're rules. I wrote them. They're rules as written. And that astonishes me. That opinion astonishes me. But the thing that gets me the most is I wrote the core rules. I curated the core rules. Some of the core rules I didn't actually write, but I curated the material. The game is the way that I want to run that kind of game in general. And I do use optional rules, but I use supplements and so forth because my world is more expansive than the basic version given in the basic rulebook. But I wrote the rules. If I write house rules, how are they worse than the core book? Explain that to me, because I don't understand it. If I was, there's always this opinion that house rules are somehow not as good as the core. But anyone who is a game designer who writes house rules, how are they any worse than the core? So anyway, that's just a thought for the day. Oh, yes, I see Surf Archer comments that the obsession with raw is a holdover from modern systems. I believe that's probably correct. I believe that's probably a lot of it. There you are. I think you're right about that. I think it is a holdover because those games are so intricate that they're fragile. And if you mess with them, they tend to fall apart. Yep. Old school games aren't like that. Old school games may have a lot of rules, but the rules aren't tightly coupled together so that you can change a rule and not break other rules in the process, not just wreck other parts of the system because they're not so tied together in a big ball like modern games are. But that's just my opinion on that, I guess. I think you're right about that, though.
It's just what I noticed reflecting over the years, back to the games we played in the 80s, right? This progression all the way through. More and more rules came in, more and more players started holding the ref to the rules, right? And they became obsessed with the rules, and that seemed to really grow and flourish from third on. just my experience reflecting
Well,
and playing and running every edition.
I think you're right about that. My belief on the matter of the modern games, what makes modern games different from old school games assume the game master is making decisions. The rule book assumes the game master will decide, so the rule book doesn't say things. Brian sharing his house rules document. The rules don't say some things. For example, if you turn the undead in basic fantasy, the game tells you how to turn the undead and how many of them you turn. Can you turn again the next round? The game doesn't say. It's up to the game master to decide. If if you're running those rules, you have to decide as game master how they're supposed to work. Well, what happened in the old school, and we all, if we're old enough, we all know the horror stories about the terrible game masters with the awful games that were crap. And maybe it was the only game master you had available, and nobody wanted to play after they played a few sessions because it was crap, because the game was awful, it was run badly, and whatever. And I think there was just a natural progression towards trying to nail more and more details down so the game master couldn't get them wrong. And the end result we get with 3.0, 3.5 is we have a game there, everything is nailed down. There's a rule for everything, and there's just not supposed to not be a rule for everything. And the game master is expected to execute those rules faithfully like a CPU executing a program.
Yep.
And
you no longer need that intelligent moderator at the table who can react to everything and make rulings. You need a computer.
But the end result of this is you make it progressively harder and harder to run a bad game. But I believe you also make it harder and harder to run a really good game, because there are places where you need the flexibility to make the game feel real, or feel realistic anyway, or just feel good, to make it enjoyable. You need the flexibility to say, these rules are not working for this situation, they're not working for whatever, and do something more interesting. And so I feel like that's the situation we get into. And I'm not, people tell me I diss on the modern games. I'm not against modern games. If that's what you want to play, if that's what you enjoy, sure. But that's not what I enjoy.
There's a cost. Like you said, we flatten out both ends of the bell curve and end up with everything mediocre.
Well, now that's an argument a little more dismal than I would have given, but I'm not going to say you're wrong, because I don't think you are. But that's what it is they make it harder to run a bad game, but they also make it harder to run a good game. I just think that's how it is. And I think part of the reason, and Cody was asking about game mastering, and it is difficult to learn to be a good old school game master, because you have to learn those things. You have to learn how to make rulings, and how to make rulings that are, let's say, not lame. Does that sound like a good description of it? Brian, did you have an opinion on the matter?
Yeah. So the thing about having all the rules, as you see the whole giant shelf of every 3.5 book there ever was, the DM becomes less of a player and more of just a computer. So when you have all those rules, all I'm doing is trying to make sure that the game is following the rules, and I'm not actually having fun with the improv and all the actual flow of the game. That's why I moved to the old school stuff. And now, I don't hardly even prep. I just pretty much wing everything. And because there's no rule telling me I can't, they're not going to rule check me, and I can just let the creativity go. I feel like the rules held me back so much running all that stuff that it doesn't allow room for a GM to actually have any flavor.
If you're good at being fair, I think you could get a long way with hardly any rules at all if you're good at being fair with players.
Yeah, as long as you know the fundamentals of the dice and when to have a bell curve and when you want certain things, certain outcomes. Heck, you can run any game saying, yeah, there's a 37% chance of that, do it. I mean, You can, as long as you have some idea of some logic, you don't need any rules.
I'm reading the
to it,
comments
I think,
over here. Go ahead, Sir Furcher.
I think the trick to it is being able to be fair and consistent. And if you can bring those two things to it, it goes a huge way. Huge way.
Necron commented about playing in my Red Bluff game. Necron, are you here still?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm gonna reveal something behind the curtain to you. There is nothing about Red Bluff written down. There's nothing. I ran that entire. It was a play-by-post, and that's key. I ran that entire thing by ear. No part of that was written down. I think I scratched some notes out when I was keeping track of combat, but that's it. That is the only basic fantasy game I ever ran that way. It's the only one I ever tried that with, but I felt like with a play-by-post, I could take the time to think about my responses. Take my time to think about what the next room or the next phase or whatever was, and I did that there. Did you have any idea?
I thought it worked good.
Did you have any idea that I didn't have any planned?
No, not really. I assumed that you had some sort of basic idea of where it was going, but
I never did. Honestly, I never did.
It worked out really well.
I wish it could have gone on longer, but play-by-posts are impossible to keep working. I've learned that I won't run a play-by-post anymore. Play-by-posts are really rewarding for a week or two, and then they just disintegrate. They just start falling apart. I've gotten a few months out of a couple, but play-by-posts just don't last. People won't stick with them, and I mean that's life. I learned that along the way, but and Red Bluff went that way, but I think Red Bluff actually lasted longer than I would have expected it to. But I didn't have a plan for Red Bluff. I had nothing planned for that, and yet I enjoyed it. I mean, I'd have to go back and find that and read it again, but I really enjoyed running that game.
I think that's a lot of old school method there, though, because all of our old games, I didn't have access to a lot of money when I was a kid or younger, and so you had to make up your own stuff. You would just take it out of books or movies or whatever you saw and just wing it. And that's just the way we did it back then.
Dewey Rag, Martin Serena, good night. Thanks for joining us. I see he's commenting he's about to leave. I'm glad you joined us. We're going to wrap up here shortly too, but just hanging in to see if Gabe could join us or if anybody else came in that I wanted to hear from. But yeah, so anyway, you can make up stuff on the fly, provided that's the thing about doing a display by post. I could go back and read what I'd written. You make this stuff up on the fly at an in-person game. It's hard to remember a week or 2 weeks later what you said because you didn't have it written down. But with the play-by-post, I could go back and read what I'd written and go, okay, well, obviously the next thing is this. So it was really not exactly off the cuff, but it was all made up, as we went along.
I think in that medium, the latency really works against it in the longer term.
It does. Latency works for the game master in terms of creativity, but it works against the game in terms of longevity. You can't keep it going long enough because people will get bored with it. Or if they don't get bored with it, I had players leave my Space Force game not because they didn't enjoy it or didn't want to be playing, but simply they couldn't. Their time, they became unavailable. And one of the players who was absolutely fantastic just disappeared. I have no idea what happened to that person. They just stopped showing up on the forums. They might have died for all I know, or whatever, moved to a foreign country. Who knows? I have no idea. But anyway, we got a few minutes. Anybody have any final thoughts or any final questions?
I think something you said a bit earlier when talking about some of the modern games and how intricate their rules are, that's really what keeps Basic Fantasy as my favorite game system. I have, of course, since I first started playing with you. Played with some other systems. I've run 5e. I've played 5e. I've looked at several other popular systems and some that are not very popular. And I think Basic Fantasy hits just the right notes of here's rules to keep things moving without really inhibiting the game master from injecting their own things without because like with, for example, 5th edition, you can't just go and create something, throw it at the players and say, here you go, either deal with this, or here's a new weapon that I've come up with, or you can't do that without just risking breaking the game entirely unless you understand all of the math that they have
Yep.
going in the background and do not tell you about.
Yeah, in
So I
3.5,
think
you're
Basic
building
Fantasy.
encounters.
Yeah.
So I did close to 2 years of analysis on the math of 5th edition in the lead up to it and the publishing of it. It's on my blog out there. I was involved with some Wizards of the Coast staff and under NDA and a bunch of other things. And you can totally do those things on the fly, just like you said, if you know the math, if you understand the system, and it's pretty complex. There's some interrelated progressions that
Well,
go on there.
some of you guys probably know that one of the things I do when I'm not not playing D&D, Basic Fantasy or whatever, I'm a programmer, and there is a process that I have to go through when I set out to work on a program I haven't touched in a while. I literally have to get it back in my head. I have to get the mechanics of how the program works, how the module works, whatever, into my head so that I fully understand it before I can do more than just the most rudimentary changes, or I'll break something. And I think that complexity is what we're talking about with some of these more complicated games. Is you have to be able to do stuff on the fly. First, you've got to get it all in your head. It sounds like you got it all in your head, and I apologize for any harm that may have caused you, Doug. But you obviously did that. I just doing that much analysis on the numbers would be quite a job.
Well, yeah, it's much harder than with the OSR systems. Most OSR systems, the thing with Basic Fantasy is it's this really elegant and strong chassis and engine that you can put whatever you want onto, and it works. It keeps working. It's very difficult to break it. You don't have to spend months analyzing monster stats and player and class and race stats and all this other stuff to try and figure out how this underlying mathematical framework hangs together. It just works.
And of course, the secret to that is that I didn't invent it. I borrowed it. I mean, the mechanics of the game go back decades, long before I ever sat down to write any of it down. I mean, we were mimicking, I like to say it, we weren't mimicking BX as much as we were mimicking the way we played BX back in the day. So it's not really that game as much as it is that game the way my players and I perceived it. The one thing that we did do is I curated things that I felt could be done better from experience, from having experienced the game, ideas that I thought were better, things that work better. There are a few parts of the game that I kind of wish I had done differently now, but they were right for their time. For example, the encumbrance rules are brutal. Our encumbrance rules are brutal. And the reason that they're that way is because nobody kept track of encumbrance. Nobody really kept track of encumbrance. So I wrote a rule set that would hold up pretty well, even if nobody was actually paying attention. Now I find I have people that want to run the rules the way they're written down, and they are following every rule, and they're going, damn, my fighter can only move 10 feet per round. What do I do about that? Well, yeah, it was cruel for the reason I wrote it, but and then there's things I've learned along the way that I wish I could have applied to Basic Fantasy, but I didn't learn them in time. I've learned them since writing the game, and implementing them would be a problem. I'm going to do a video one of these days, I keep promising it, about morale checks. And I'm going to talk about how I feel like I should have done it. But yeah, I'll get that done one of these days, but I'm not going to change the core rules. I'm not going to rewrite the morale in there. I'm going to leave it the way it was, but I feel like I could have done better now. So,
Chris, one of the things about all of this is that the rules are, like everybody said, like Surf Archer was saying, it's a good chassis, and then you bolt your own things on. And
right.
I'm sure Brian and Tim and oh, come on now, all of us that were at the Binge, we had 3 or 4 different tables at depending on which one you went to. Each one came out differently because of the way the players and the DMs played the game.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the keys to it, is you don't end up with the same thing over and over again. You get
2024, the players that were at Brian's table, with one exception, were kind of intense. And I came to that table and I was not sure what I was walking into. 2025, they came back. That's when I found out that the 2024 had been their first convention game ever. And they were intense because they thought they were supposed to be, I think. And they had relaxed quite a bit. And they were.
Well,
they
I'm
were
intense too, so I encourage it. So
I'm glad you say that. You used to disagree with me when I said you were intense, but you are intense. Yeah, but you're good. I mean, it's the thing that works for you. And we don't all have to be the same. No, and those guys love your table. So that's it's really cool. But you're right, Al, is because we do approach things differently, and it is fun to see how different people go about it. I'm going to have to play some games one of these days. I've been a forever GM forever. I need to play some, but yeah.
I would love to.
Yeah, you can definitely.
I'm scared of Brian. I don't know. I might play Cody's game, but I'm scared of Brian. He probably just wiped me out right away. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think Brian's party died at the end of these last 2 cons.
True, you are the one
my party's
before.
I have a standing record of 2-0 against my party.
Okay, that's sad.
I'd rather just run games. I love running games, but I came to a realization a couple of years ago: if I never play, I'm not going to encourage other people to step up and run games and learn.
Well, that's true. That's true.
And then
here's a draw for 2026, Chris.
What?
You play at everybody's table.
Do you seriously think people would want that? Who's going to write the adventures?
Well, I don't know. It just came to me in a. My ideas.
I mean, I would do it if you thought people would show up for it, but somebody's got to write those adventures. And the problem with it is I've seen most of ours, so there's a few of them I don't know very well. But yeah,
I do think people would show up to play at a table with you. Absolutely.
Really?
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Suddenly, I feel like the imposter. Okay, well.
He'd take a stab at it.
Get one of our authors that doesn't show up otherwise. That maybe Todd or somebody to write it, and then the Cody and Brian and Tim and I can play it, and Chris just goes from table to table and sees how we do the DMing.
It might be entertaining. That might be entertaining. I don't know if the players would be that entertaining, but I might go for that. I should tell you, I have had Hadrian helping me with developing the adventures, so you could talk to him if you wanted to talk to somebody about it. But
I can tell you, I would be entertained. I've heard some of the stories of you as a player, so
just don't let him run an illusionist. Is what I gather.
Right,
Yeah,
the illusionist stories.
Never let an experienced game master play an illusionist in your game. You will regret it. Because imagining scenes is what we do, and when you give us the power to imagine the scene and make it appear in front of the NPCs or the monsters, that's exactly what we're going to do. And I played an illusionist in a second edition game when I was in the Air Force, and he was very effective. The character was very effective because I used illusions for non-traditional things. Illusionary monsters was basic. Bending a corridor so that the guys pursuing you run into the wall, that's cool. I bent corridors all the time. I love to do that. And bend the corridor, make it look like I ran around the corner, and they would run around the corner and bash into the wall. Or straighten a bent corridor, that's even better. They just run headlong into a wall.
Yeah.
I love doing that kind of stuff.
Make it look like there's a passage over, walkway over a chasm.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I did try that kind of a trick on a myth dragon once, and its saving throws were way too good, and it ate me. But anyway, I survived that being eaten somehow or another, but it wasn't fun. But most of the time, it's a bad idea. I doubt I'm particularly special otherwise. Like I said, never let any experienced old school game master play an illusionist, because that's just a mistake. We're gonna have too much fun with that.
Oh yeah.
Guys, we are up to time. I'm gonna go ahead and call it here. Thank you all for showing up. Remember, this was about you guys and about us as a group, as a community. I have really enjoyed working with all of you guys and playing games with many of you. Hopefully, we can do more of that in the future. So.
I just want to say thank you for like, I've been running a weekly game for 10 years now, Basic Fantasy, with various groups every week. And I don't publish much of anything on that Basic Fantasy forum, which I feel bad here and there. But I have some character sheets and everything. But I want to thank everyone who's contributed, because I've used all of your stuff. I mean, just everyone, just probably on behalf of all of us DMs and GMs out there that are running this stuff all the time, that you don't hear from all the time on the forums. Just thank you to all of you guys, and the others that aren't even on the call and all that. So thanks.
And I see you've come to the front, Todd. Did you have a thought?
I was just here to show my face and wave and thank everyone for coming out, for downloading our stuff. Even though I did say in the chat that if only one person downloads something that you share on the project, that's worth it. It's still pretty cool when lots of people like download it, buy it, write nice things on the forum. So yeah.
Robert?
Just saying goodbye.
Just saying goodbye. Well, I'll wave bye-bye to you too. All right. So, Al, Brian, Tim, and Cody, I will see you guys for the binge. Cody, I'll see you next month. So, we'll get down and get the new game going. And thank you all for...
Night.
What's that? Well, yeah, tomorrow night we should be having a game. Oh, yeah, people popping up here left and right. Yeah, tomorrow night we should be on for game. I'm planning on running it. So, we'll see what happens. See who shows up and what game we're playing.
Do we want to have one last punt?
What's that?
Do we want to have one last punt to everyone? Everyone out there, play Basic Fantasy. Don't be scared to try and run a dungeon. You'll love doing it, and get involved. It's friendly and it's easy. Go for it.
All right. And with that, I think we're going to go ahead and call it off here. I'm going to go downstairs and stop the recording, and you guys can hang out of here if you want to, but as of next couple minutes, I'm going to stop it, and we'll be done. Thank you all for showing up.
Thank you for having us, Chris.
Thanks all. Thanks, Chris.